And we're here again.
We're back.
Christopher, another episode, number 78.
Number 70. We're getting there. We're almost to that famed 100 mark.
It seemed like it slowed down to me for some reason. Like for a while,
Time
it was
slowed down.
It did. Like when we were at, what was that thing? Not Wizard World, C2E2. We did a time jump. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was like a legitimate time jump because we got there at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Next thing we know, it was 7:30 and it was like over.
Yeah, it might have been an alcohol-induced time jump, but...
No, not possible. I didn't even drink
no.
while we were there.
I don't know about that, but...
But we did a time jump. Now it's like we're working in slow motion.
Yeah.
And I feel like the episodes are going
like
slower.
First, up to 50 was real fast, and now it's just like...
Yeah.
It's all right. We're just mellowing through. We're
doing what we can do. That's all
when we get to 100, then we get, what do you call it? That's when a TV show gets...
made.
No, that's
6 seasons in a movie. We're only on the 3rd season.
Okay.
Isn't that the rule?
I don't know.
Didn't you ever watch Community?
Yeah. Did they get a movie?
No, that's what Abed always says.
Oh.
6 seasons in a movie. They didn't get to the 6th season. That's the rule. We have a guest.
Yeah, we do. We have a
big time guest.
Grand champion. And I say grand champion because the normal word champion can't underscore his championness.
Right. So we had a little competition this year and last year, every year actually, called Snarf Madness.
Yeah.
We have a bracket out. People fill out the bracket. Normally, we have a winner for Chris and we have a winner for me. I'm Jerry. Did you know that?
Yep.
Okay. And this year we had one winner for both of us. We didn't think that was possible.
Like statistically impossible.
Right. I'm pretty sure you said that at one point. You're like, it's not possible for one winner. But it was possible this year. And that winner is KERG BLAZE or just Blaze or Astro Crag, Super Astro Crag, Super Mega Astro Crag, or Craig Blazekevich.
I go by one of those.
Yes, all of those. Craig and I worked together for a long time. Well, like 4.5 years.
You were almost there 5.
4.5. Don't
elongate
it. Yeah. Don't make me there any longer than I was. And he put in a bracket and ended up winning everything.
Yeah.
Like literally all the things he won.
So, yeah, he's getting a whole host of prizes, none of which we have right now.
Right. We have none of those for you at the moment. I've given you stickers, though. I still haven't given him the coasters because they're still at my house and I forget them every time.
You suck.
Yeah,
he does. But he's getting a sweatshirt, $50 Amazon gift card, super premium bundle of Snarf.
Yep. Super ultimate.
Oh.
Premium bundle of Snarf.
Oh, that Amazon card is spent.
Already? You haven't even got it.
I do have one of his prizes right here.
No way.
And that is
a
his
trophy.
Snarf Madness trophy right there.
Look at that. A spinner.
Personalized.
I don't get the horse, but that's cool.
It's a goat.
I'm a suburbanite.
It's a goat, Craig.
Sorry.
It's even got his name on it and everything. Says Craig Blazekevich, champion Snarf Madness 2020.
Did you spell his last name right?
I did. I looked it up on Facebook just to double check.
Blazekevich.
Yeah.
Yep. It's all on there.
And I actually have...
Oh my gosh, you're rustling through the garbage.
our second place first loser trophy.
Oh, nice.
That goes to Ian. We'll be getting to him.
Nice.
It says Ian Hicks, first loser.
That's perfect. 2020 first loser. But we also have one more, Chris. What is that?
I have our trophy for our last place finisher, Keith Pfeiffer.
What a toilet
loser.
Bowl loser.
There's not even shit in it.
Oh, there's a bunch of shit in it because he was terrible. It's disgusting. I'm horrified that he even put in a bracket that was that bad.
If you guys, I kind of like this goat. I think that should have been the champion one. It's got some heft to it.
I think I
can you just tear the nameplates off? Yeah,
I'm sure you could. Judging by the quality of them.
I like the spinner one.
I was trying to find something that's just as gaudy as possible.
Yeah, you did it.
Just as outrageous as you can possibly get.
No, I think you did it for under $4.
And this came from China.
No, actually, made in the USA.
What?
Oh, they are?
Well, that's what the website says. But
Full of COVID.
I was expecting it much later.
I was too, and because I was going to order one on Amazon, and then I'm like, you know what? This deserves a real trophy company.
You're right.
So I found a USA trophy company,
Good. No, all in the USA, man.
except for my grain.
We were born in the
I
USA.
want that in China.
Your what?
My grain.
Oh, yeah, we got to sell that to China. Otherwise, you ain't making no money.
So,
Yeah, so Craig's here.
Yo.
When do we expect to give him all the rest of the prizes?
he'll have it, but
Pretty
before
soon.
the end of the month.
Yeah.
June month.
What do you like, Craig?
What do I like?
Yeah, like what do you like to get as gifts? Just trying to feel it out
Trying
a
to
little
feel it
bit,
out.
seeing what we can curate for you.
Yeah, into
Well,
your bundle or snarf.
I've always told Chris that you're like a big reader
I am a big reader.
because that's all you do. And I had to yell at you so many times at work, like
Books
quit
or
reading.
comics?
I am a book guy, but I will say since I started listening to you guys, and this is no shit, no joke, I never read comic books before that. And I have been since you guys started your thing. I think you got me started on Why the Last Man.
Yeah,
Never read that. Never read. I might have read Wolverine back in the day, maybe an X-Men.
would you say that Why the Last Man completely changed your life
It was up there.
in every way possible? Like you got a house after it. He was married. He had 2 children.
I had 2 children, but way before that.
Because of
All
Why the
because of
Last
that.
Man. It's
Just like
unbelievable.
how I was joking around with you the other day that before you became the Lockmaster, no flood. After Lockmaster, flood.
I know. You're like, coincidence? I think not. And I told you, it's big government.
Yeah. So, comics. Yeah, Why the Last Man has been my number one kind of go-to for anybody to get them into comics, just because it is so accessible for pretty much anybody that likes any genre.
And I honestly
into that.
believe it changes the opinion of people because most opinions of people that don't ever read comics is Superman.
Superheroes,
Batman,
yeah.
Superhero type comics. Once you put something like that in front of them, it changes their opinion of what comics
And
can
we
be,
talk
'cause it's
about and
completely
read
different.
a lot of superhero comics all the time, but it's by far not the majority of what I read for
No.
comics.
Really me either. And Swamp Thing is a big deal to me, obviously. And I don't really, a lot of what Swamp Thing does is like superhero-ish, but the majority of that storyline is not based in a superhero. It's of a guy who was killed and becomes this green thing.
Kind of.
It's like an emotional roller coaster that's super dark.
Yeah, that's
And I
true.
love it. And you just started reading that. Or did you
I'm
finish
on
it?
Saga Swamp Thing Book 3. Just started it.
It's a
He's
good
in
one.
it.
That's a good one. Is that the one? Are you to the one where he goes to hell yet?
I think that was Book 2.
Okay.
Book 3, I think he just did Nuke Face, I think it was called. Where I think he gets killed for the first time and realizes he can regenerate.
Oh, okay. I don't remember number 3 off the top of my head, but yeah, I always love that. I think you're right. It's in book 2 where he goes to hell. That's
Yeah.
like my favorite sequence.
Searching for Abby.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that's a good one. If
I was so happy when you texted me. You're like, "Oh, I'm in the middle of Saga Swamp Thing." I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're living.
It's one of those
you're
things-
living my dream right now."
You get jealous of people that are just starting something for the first time when you did
Oh,
it years
yes.
ago.
it happens to me all the time,
And
especially with like Star Wars, and I'm like,
I know.
you just get to do this now? Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like I've seen it so many times.
I remember you telling me that when I started Doctor Who.
Yeah.
When I started watching Doctor Who.
It almost like I'm like I can't believe that you have this opportunity.
I know, which you have had the opportunity before. You just didn't know it.
Yeah, but it's over. I'll never get it back.
And the difference is you didn't know it at the time. Like you started watching it because you just started watching the show. You didn't have somebody that told you like you've got to watch the best thing that's ever been produced. Like it's something I love. I like it on par with Star Wars. You actually said at the time you think you liked it better.
I was really into it at that point.
Right.
In retrospect,
This
I
is
don't think I
years
could
ago.
say that
Right.
now. But when I was in the middle of it, I mean,
And
pretty good.
I would agree. I felt that way when I was watching it too, but that's how I feel with all these comic books that people are starting to read. And when my dad told me that he was reading Y the Last Man, I was like, "Oh, Dad, you've got a journey ahead of you, bud."
So, and actually, Y the Last Man's another reason why it's perfect for new readers is it's so easy to read and so quick.
Right.
And so light, but adult at the same time. So it's a very easily digestible book. I mean, you can kind of power through it really fast.
He did.
Where would you
You're
go?
a fast
Where would
reader.
you send him next? So he did Y the Last Man. He's doing Saga of Swamp Thing. Put that, maybe go a little closer with the mic. You can pull it out to you.
Get it all up in your grill, man.
Yeah, you can
It's
pull it out to
weird
you.
to me.
Yeah.
It is weird for the first time.
Where would you send him next? Because in the past, I've always told people Lock and Key is a good one
Did
to
that
go
one
to.
too.
Oh, you did
I
that
did.
one.
I
Yeah.
did the first 3. I never did the 4th one, but for some
You
reason,
need to.
yeah, because I think that's where you told me the Netflix story ends.
Before the 4th one starts.
And there's only 4, right? Or is there
Yep.
5? Okay.
No, there's only 4.
Here's the thing. And you watched the Netflix show too?
I have not.
Okay. Well, I'd be interested to get your take because I've always said I think Lock and Key is one of the better comic book series out there, especially for new readers.
And the 4th one gets wild.
And the 4th one is wild. But this is a rare circumstance where after I saw the show, I'm like, it made me actually appreciate the comic less, which I thought was odd. Not necessarily appreciate it less, but I liked
You like the take of the show.
the take of the show better than I liked the comic take. And I thought it surprised me that was the way it was.
I think I agree too.
There was a lot that they did in the comic.
Well, they kind of mellowed it out a little bit on the show.
Oh, big time.
Because, and you have to.
It's very
I think,
R-rated in the book.
Yeah, I think you have to make it like palatable for people to watch. Because otherwise it would be just a very horror-based show. And I don't think that's what they wanted to go for. They wanted like a more of a, like, I don't want to say YA, but like a YA type, like young adult.
You got to bring
which is
everybody
YA.
in.
Yeah, like they wanted to pull everybody into the show rather than just make it like super horror and turn everybody away. So, but I do like the way they went with it too, in the show. So you do need to start watching that. If you have read up to the first all 3 of them and not the 4th, I think you're good. Or is it through 4 and there's a 5th? I can't remember.
I think it's through 4 and then there's a 5th. But
so.
I can't remember.
Read everything you can about Lock and Key and then watch the show.
Well, I'm the weird guy that always does most of my reading at work. So
No, you have plenty of time to do that though. In a 12-hour shift, especially on nights, I can read
power
a lot
through.
of things.
Well, I would tell you right off the gate, the next one to jump into would be Saga. Saga, absolutely. Actually,
Yeah. Oh, you haven't read Saga, have you?
No.
Saga.
You're silly.
Borrowed it a couple times from the library because I'm a library dork. I will go to the library, and if I can't find the physical copy, I will get the digital copy. And I've gotten Saga 2 or 3 times, and it's just I've never had the time to read it.
It's big.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. But I would go either Saga or Sandman, one of those two. Neil Gaiman Sandman or Saga by Brian K. Vaughan.
So,
Especially with Sandman, I didn't put it on my list of top 10 for new readers initially
because it's not a new reader
it's
thing.
not great for new readers. But if you've already read Swamp Thing, especially,
Yeah.
it'll fold right into Sandman.
Absolutely.
And Neil Gaiman, I don't know if do you read his novels?
I've read, yes,
Neverwhere.
I read Neverwhere, and I read American Gods.
American Gods is like top 10, one of my favorite novels of all time. The TV show does not do it justice.
Right.
I started to watch the TV show, and then I didn't want to watch the TV show because I had read the comic book.
The TV
Or,
show
I'm
is
sorry, I read the
fine,
book.
but season 2 of the TV show is terrible.
See, I never watched any of it
Really
just
bad.
because I kept hearing what you said about it.
Yeah, it's just really slow. And the book is not, I wouldn't say it's fast paced.
Yeah, it takes a little bit to work up.
Yeah, but it's definitely keeps your interest, whereas the show didn't do that.
I
So.
agree. And no, I'm completely like in agreement with you where Sandman's one. Saga.
Saga
you definitely
obviously
have
is
to.
the same author as Why the Last Man, so it's a lot of the same tone to it.
It is, and they sell one now. What's it called? Is it? It's not an omnibus, but it's,
It is.
Is
I
it
think
an
it's something
omnibus?
Like that,
It's like literally all of them,
but it's
in
huge.
one book.
I don't know
It's
if
like
I'd
literally
want it
this thick.
because you got to lug it around a book that thick.
Yeah, it is huge. I saw it in an airport once, and I picked it up. I was like, "Holy shit, this is huge!" And I wanted
want to buy it, but I already own all the individual
I know.
trade paperbacks. So,
Can I ask a weird question since I'm here and I'll probably never get this chance again?
yeah,
So
Oh no, we bring guests on as much as they want to come on, as long as they have good mic discipline.
that drive sucked. I'm not used to that drive. I'm sorry.
oh my gosh, you're coming from Shanahan.
I'm still not used to
You
that drive.
spoiled son of a
And see,
bitch.
I'm a suburbanite. Everything is like right there. I can go 5 miles here or there, and
This
I am
is-
where I need to be.
That's just normal travel for
Listen,
everything we want
I
to
can't do
do.
anything in my life without traveling like 40 miles. So.
I don't even want to go to Chicago when we go to Chicago.
It was 25 minutes.
It told me it was 30.
Well, it's wrong because there's no way you came
You
straight
know it
down
takes
Route
me
6.
about that amount of time to go to the grocery store, right?
Right. You came straight down Route 6 to 47, and then 47 straight south to.
It was telling me the fastest way was 55 to 113.
Did you do that?
I did.
Well, that maybe because
Probably-
Route 6
it probably
sucks.
is. It probably is.
Yeah, Route 6 is like the worst.
I live
creation.
right off of 55 up there.
Oh, then it
Oh,
definitely is.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. And 113 is the road that I basically live off of. So if you would have went straight when you hit 47,
We're
you
only
took
a mile
left.
off of 113 right now. So
No, I know. I'm just telling him where I live. Is that all right?
no,
Why is that not
no,
okay?
just
You could have just went. There was a farm straight in front of you. That's where my in-laws live. You could have just went straight to a stop sign, taken a left. My house.
I'm going to forget that.
Okay, good, because I don't want you to come over there.
Okay, so you're a reader. What do you read? Give us your breakdown. Like, this is what I like, and then here are some of my favorites. Might not necessarily be what you like, but these are some of your all-time favorites.
So Stephen King is definitely up there.
Yeah.
And Chris isn't a Stephen King guy. He never has liked him.
No, I like Stephen King. I haven't read a lot of Stephen King.
So when you guys
Me
did
either.
your 80s action movies and you were talking about The Running Man,
Yes.
and then you said, "Oh, that's a Stephen King book." I'm like, "You son of a bitch! You didn't know that."
No, I didn't.
It's a short story off of one of his, but it's one of like the early ones. I think it's the one with the monkey on the cover.
Not
Correct.
only that, did I not know that at the time, I had already forgotten that, and I was genuinely surprised again when you just said that.
You forgot it already. So
It's a travesty that you haven't watched that movie. How's
Yeah, I
how's
know,
the
I
book
really
compared to
haven't.
the
I
movie?
He's a different dude. He's a
I
skinny-
assumed it was
yeah.
way different.
He's a skinny guy, but I haven't read that book in so long. I got to be honest. If I were to pretend I remembered the book, I don't remember the book.
So what are your favorite Stephen King books then?
I think my favorite one might be Needful Things.
No idea.
Needful Things, like he pretty much the devil opens a shop, and he sells people things really for nothing that they absolutely love, and in all honesty, it's not what they think it is. That one's hard to explain too. There's a part in the book where these two ladies are fighting over like a satin Elvis painting, and like they are like going at it. And even that part of the book, it being a book, it is graphic.
So like he sells them things that they quickly become like obsessed about, and
Correct.
It drives them into like evil, basically.
Correct.
Sounds kind of badass.
yeah,
actually.
it does sound really good.
It's a good one.
Honestly, the only things I've really ever read of Stephen King, and is like Mr. Mercedes and that trilogy. I'm still in the middle of the second.
The
book.
second one.
I need to finish it because I started this trilogy, the Bill Hodges trilogy.
You're the one who
and
told me to get into it.
told him to get into it. I'm like, you're gonna like this. I think you're really gonna like it because I loved the first book, and then he completely surpassed me within a very short amount of time, and read all three of them. And he's like, "Hey, did you finish the third one?" I was like, "Yeah."
Not
Still in the
there.
middle of that second one, because you read so fast. I really do feel like you're like a fast reader.
I don't think I read fast. I just think I have a lot of time on my hands sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
And you're just more dedicated to reading than I
Yes.
am. Because I just take in too much internet, I think.
Probably.
But so I read that, and then Stephen King's On Writing, which you still haven't read, Chris,
Right.
have you?
No.
You need to. I have it. I'm going to give it to you.
Give it to me.
It's so good. I need to read it again. But that is like, for us especially, like changed my world when I thought about writing, because I was so hard on myself. And then all of a sudden reading Stephen King stuff, one of the, obviously the greatest writers of all time that we know of. And he's just like literally throwing shit out there. Like, he's just like, put it down. Like, write it down. Who cares?
You have to be that prolific.
He was so messed up on drugs, like in the beginning of his career, like when he wrote Carrie, he was all messed up on a bender, wrote it in like 28 hours, the whole book he wrote, because he was just doing cocaine like crazy, and then passed out. And he had thrown it in the garbage and passed out, and his wife came in, woke him up, and pulled it out of the garbage and had read it. And she's like, you need to get this published. It's very good. He's like, no, it's junk. And then he ended up getting it published, and it's Carrie.
Off to the races.
Like,
if I'm looking at a list here, I'm going to say these are the only Stephen King books that I've read. I've read Salem's Lot. I've read The Shining, which I like The Shining a lot.
it's a huge book.
I read The Stand.
That's
That's
like one
a
of the
huge book.
greatest.
Yeah, I read let's see, not that one.
Oh, The Outsiders. Did you read The Outsiders?
I read The Green
No.
Mile.
You need to. That's good.
I read The Green Mile. I read From a Buick 8. And that's about it. I feel like I might have read Under the Dome, but I don't think so.
Under the Dome is him?
Yes, it
The,
is.
the show?
Yes.
Yeah. It was based on a show.
This dude.
Yeah.
So that's about, so I haven't read a ton. I always liked The Shining. I'm not a huge, I guess I'm not, I was wanting to get into, apparently, because they're making like every single one of his works into TV shows. now. Everything. Like somebody bought the rights to his entire collection.
But he's working
And
with
we've
them.
talked about it before.
Yeah.
There's like 12 in production right now, 12 of his books.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of like fantasy books that he wrote. There was like a series of fantasy books that he wrote.
Yeah.
And we
Do you
talked
have it
about
up?
it. No, I don't have it up. I'll find it real
You
quick.
were talking about it because it was super intriguing.
Yes, it was. And I'm a huge fan. Most of what I've read is like fantasy and sci-fi.
But
That's
not
all I read.
Not the gunslinger books.
No. Fantasy like
I just
swords
started that,
and
too.
dragons and stuff like that.
Right,
Eyes of the
because-
Dragon, he wrote.
Because listen up, if it's fantasy, you have to have swords.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, you got to have swords.
Okay.
Eyes of the Dragon was epic fantasy quasi medieval setting.
Wait, Eye of the Tiger or
Yes.
Eye of the Dragon? Dragons plural, singular.
Eyes.
How many dragons are we talking
One
about?
dragon,
Chris?
2 eyes. Eyes of the Dragon.
Okay, that makes sense. Right?
Pair of eyes.
His first work of epic fantasy. Clearly established battle between good and evil, and magic playing the lead role.
Well, it has
This
to be
is right
good.
up my alley. You haven't read this?
No.
No?
That amazes
So
me.
I'm very, very behind. I mean, I've read a lot of Stephen King, but I'm at a point now where I'm collecting them so that I can read them. But I'm
Oh, I
I'm
get
all I'm all over the place. I read
You really are.
whatever's on my mind.
Have you read
You're clinically
my favorite
insane.
book of all time, Dune?
Yes. Yes, he has.
Okay, so yeah, you guys brought that up a long time ago, and I'm like, you know what? I'm really old, and I should have read this a long time ago.
We had a huge conversation about
And
this.
I
at
got
work.
I got the library book, and I had a foreword by Neil Gaiman, and it was I even read the foreword by Neil Gaiman, and I read that one really, really quick.
Super quick.
It's not a...
It's
for-
still
it's-
700 and some pages.
But
Yeah.
I loved carrying that book around because people would stare at me like, "Oh my god, you got a big book."
Yeah. Yeah.
But it goes quick. I felt
It
like
goes
it goes
really
quick
quick.
because
And I
it's
love the
really
way-
engaging.
And I love the way he wrote the book that you get to hear what everybody else is thinking.
Yes. So, did you read any after the first one at
I
all?
started to
'Cause I
read
haven't.
the second one, the Dune Messiah, I think it's called.
I'm looking that up right now because I know I read all of them, but I can't remember.
No, we had talked about this before
all
too.
of
and
his. I read all
Frank
of his and a
Herbert's.
couple of his kids, but
So when
there's a bunch of them.
when his
Yes.
son took over, it kind of dropped off. Is according to reviews. I've never read any of them, so I don't know. That's just
I think he only wrote 2.
no. He wrote 3 or 4 of them.
Oh no,
Frank
he
did.
wrote way more than that. All right, I didn't realize there was this many. There's like 20 of them.
Holy sh-
I read Dune and Dune Messiah and Children of Dune, and I
Those
might
are the
have,
3 of Frank
I think
Herbert.
there's a bunch more that.
No,
I had
'cause
a
he
hard
passed
time.
away.
I had a hard time getting into Dune Messiah because the beginning of that one, he's with the queen or whatever, and she was talking about killing Muad'Dib or whatever he's called, and it already bothered me. Like it's way too early in the book to know what's going to happen, but I was like, they're plotting to kill him, and I like him, so I never got very far in that.
So the original series was Dune, Dune Messiah, and Children of Dune.
Yes. So the reviews I read is like, I think anything those are after right, that.
Yeah. And I think that's right, because I read those 3, and then I think I went on to read the 4th one.
And that's when his son took over.
God, Emperor of Dune, and I don't think I got through it.
Yeah, that's when his son took over, because I was reading about it because I wanted to know, because I looked up more books, and then I saw so many books involved with Dune. I was like, whoa, like what do I need to read here? And then I saw the original trilogy by Frank Herbert, and then I read like when his son took over, it just kind of fell off, and a lot of people didn't really enjoy how he took the story. So I just kind of never read any more books.
Yeah,
but I really should read at least the next 2.
That's part of my Amazon gift card right there. It really is. I think I'm going to get the same one with the forward by Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, for sure.
They have so many cool like collected editions of Dune too, like leatherbacks that are cool looking sets, you know.
I need to get it. That's another thing about Sandman. Like, you like Neil Gaiman.
You'd love Sandman. Then.
Sandman is incredible.
It's like pure Neil Gaiman. He basically is the main character.
It is like the epitome of Neil Gaiman. It's the only thing you need to know of Neil Gaiman, I think. I think Sandman's way better than American Gods. I know you like it a lot. American Gods a lot.
It's just different. I mean, it's a novel.
Right,
so
novels.
I'm not comparing them as a story, because one's a novel, one's a comic.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read American Gods in comic form as well.
He just started making that.
And it's not as good as Sandman. But it's not really meant to be a comic.
It's not. It's a novel. You have to read it as a novel.
Do you remember like 20 minutes ago when I said, hey, I got a question. What do you guys think?
Yes. What was the question? Did we cut you off like normal?
Well, we went on a wild tangent, and I'm for it.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
But it seriously just circled right back, which is awesome. So who is the better writer, Neil Gaiman or Alan Moore?
Oh.
That depends on the context.
So I'm definitely going to say Neil Gaiman.
I think I am too, because Alan Moore's kind of out there a bit, especially when it comes to everything he's done outside of Swamp Thing.
Just look at, he's very prolific, like across all mediums.
Yeah, for sure.
Script writing, books, comics. I would say Neil Gaiman. Alan Moore has made some amazing comics that I love. I don't know if he's written any books. I really don't know.
I'm sure he's got some sort of
novelizations
of something that he's written.
But as far as comics go, I mean, I'm going to go Alan Moore. If I'm talking about comics, I'm going Alan Moore. If I'm going overall author, I'd probably have to say Neil Gaiman.
100% I agree. If you look at the scripts that Alan Moore writes, it's exactly like a novel. Yeah. I mean, it reads as a novel. He doesn't write it as a script like we would. It's not broken out into like characters. He writes in a solid paragraph for the entire thing, and then makes the artist figure out how to draw it. And it looks like super aggravating if I was an artist or anybody working with him. And apparently he's not very easy to work with anyways, because he has such like a precise vision of what he's going to do. But he is very good at writing comic books. I just think Neil Gaiman has got a little bit more in his.
But if you go into comics specifically, I mean, like, it's hard to beat Alan Moore. He's written about everything to the top of its ability. I haven't read a lot of Miracle Man. Everybody says it's his best work.
Good, yeah.
I mean, I've read some of it, so that's something I've always wanted to read a little bit more of.
But I mean, again, though, I mean, a lot of people put Sandman at the top of their list for comic books.
Absolutely.
But that's it. That's all he's got. Alan Moore's got how many?
Oh, no, he's got other stuff, I'm sure, right?
Nothing comparable to Sandman, I don't think.
I don't know. I'd have to look that up.
Well, do it. That's what you're here for.
A lot of Sandman, especially the new Sandman, which I do collect, so I've read a bunch of that.
Waiting on you.
Well, just
I mean,
yourself while I figure that out.
The only reason we bring Chris on the show.
Oh, well, 1602. I forgot he did. I love that.
1602.
It's like Marvel, all the Marvel characters back in like the Roman age.
I don't even know if I'm aware of this.
I have it. I'll give it
weird.
to you sometime. But it's like Spider-Man, the X-Men, and everybody. But back is like Roman.
Really?
Yeah, like 300.
Yeah.
That kind
I
of
get
setting,
it.
but with the Marvel universe.
Wow.
It's really fun. That's a good one.
So that's it? That's the
No,
only
no, no.
other thing he's ever written?
Tons. I'm scrolling down a page and I'm not done yet. Black Orchid, Books of Magic, Coraline, Creatures of the Night.
A lot of short stories. He's got a ton of short stories.
Yeah.
That's not comics.
No, these are comics. I'm talking about comics right now.
I didn't know he wrote Coraline as a comic.
Well, it's probably an adaptation.
Oh, here we go. Now we're getting into adaptations. Okay.
The Graveyard Book.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly salmon.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. That's the only answer I was looking for.
All right.
You could have done that a long time ago.
Well, anyway, 1602 is pretty cool.
All right, I want to read that.
And supposedly he helped Alan Moore finish Watchmen.
No. Where'd you read that?
That's what I've heard.
What was this? Like a... Oh, shoot. I can't...
National Enquirer.
No, I was going to go with TMZ. Is this like a fucking TMZ
How
report?
Neil Gaiman helped Alan Moore finish Watchmen. Sci-fi article.
It's not real.
I'm not going to read it, so it doesn't
Good.
matter.
I don't...
Another one of my favorite book series of all time is Ender's Game. Have you ever read any of those?
I watched the movie, and I was like,
The movie's not that bad.
the
I think
movie,
it gets shit on.
it made me want to read the books.
The books are way better, and then the second and third book is better than the first book.
I actually, I go to my son, when he does therapy, I will go to the library while he's doing it, and they have like a bargain bin that is insane. Like, people have no idea what's in there. I've gotten all kinds of hardcover Stephen King books for like 50 cents.
Nice.
And I got like a super old Christine book from like 1983. And I know
it's
this
super
thing's
refreshing that someone like goes to the library all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't hear about people going to the library. Like, why not?
That's why I hate this pandemic, because I can't go to the fucking library.
First of all, we don't have a library to go to.
Seneca, Morris.
We don't. Yeah, but we got to pay a bunch of money because we're out of district.
Oh yeah, that's true. Never even thought about that. But I have never went. That's the thing.
I used to go as a kid a lot, but I haven't really been as an adult.
But I just thought it was really refreshing to hear somebody say like the library's where it's at.
Yeah.
You know, because that's where you've gotten everything and
everything.
And you always told me about it.
They also have comics and DVDs and all kinds of stuff.
And that's what I was telling him. Like, if he wants to read it digitally, for me, I can use Hoopla, which is like primarily comic books.
Nice.
So I don't have that kind of collection. So for me, I can just go through them and keep going.
That's awesome. I have Comixology, and I need to get rid of it.
Yeah, I know. Well, unlimited anyways.
Yeah.
You got rid of the unlimited, didn't you?
No.
You haven't?
I'm still paying for it.
Why?
And I never use it.
Oh, that's silly. But I like Comixology as a platform. I just don't think the unlimited is worth it.
No.
Unless you're reading comics constantly all the time.
The problem is they give you like the first 3 issues.
Right. And then
which you can read in like 20 minutes. And then you got to pay for the 4th issue.
Well, they'll also give you like volumes, like
sometimes,
a whole trade. Sometime, well, a lot of the time with a lot of the bigger trades, they'll do that, but they'll only give you the first one, and then you've got still another 30 comics you need to read that you have to pay for. So,
yeah.
But I guess it is cheaper than buying all of them.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I got rid of it a long time ago, and I just buy what I want. I've subscribed to some, like
you have
Daredevil,
DC All Access.
Yeah. That's why I don't subscribe to any of the DC books. Because of that DC All Access.
But that doesn't give you all of it either.
Not all of it, but it's... I mean, I think that's better than doing it on Comixology.
Yeah, I agree. So I have that, and I use that to read comics that I already own.
You've got so many books, physical copy of books that you just never read.
I'm not going to touch them.
Do you know how to read?
I'm bagging and boarding
Because I just don't know if you really know how to read. You say it. I've just never physically seen you read words.
Well, you're not around me all day long, Jerry.
Well,
did you go through all your what's in the boxes?
Oh, God,
no.
No. Dude, you have no
idea. We
idea.
need to bring that back.
I forgot about it.
I was wondering why you stopped doing it. I was into that.
I forgot about
we
it,
should bring
too.
that back. Wow, that's a great idea.
Thank
I think
you,
because at the
Craig.
beginning we did that because it was like we were
We
filling
didn't know how to fill
time,
the time.
and then we're always now.
Just running over.
Yeah, we're trying to like keep under time.
That's a big problem for us is going over on time, and you're going to find that today because we get on tangents like we were just talking about.
Boom.
And so it was a big deal in the beginning of this podcast that we were going 2 hours, 2.5 hours, things like that. Like nobody liked it. Then we decided to cut it down. Do you remember this?
Yeah, that's when I complained.
Exactly. So you and a bunch of other people, some of these people said like 45 minutes to an hour is the most that I want to listen to. Then we did that. We cut it down to an hour and 10 minutes. Some of them were even an hour and 15. And then we started getting feedback back like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. Why would you ever have a podcast that's only an hour long? Well, everybody wanted us to.
I hate
that.
1 hour long podcasts. I feel like they just start and then they're over and nothing gets accomplished.
It was miserable to try to record for us because we just weren't used to it. But then we were pumping them out and nobody liked it. So we went back to the 2 hour platform. And I think, I'm comfortable.
I'm okay with start and stop. I don't mind.
No, me neither. That's the
Get a
thing.
little bit
That's
going.
the way I've always listened to
You
podcasts.
have all week.
Yeah, exactly.
If you listen to 15 minutes at a time, whatever, it doesn't matter.
That's what I always did.
I enjoy it because it brings some like cohesiveness to your week, and there's always like something to look forward to.
What I liked about it is that I could listen to, let's say 30 minutes of it on my ride up to work. That's what I would do in the morning. I'd listen to 30 minutes of a podcast, and then I'd be able to like actually think about what they talked, like what they talked about in the show. I'd be able to actually like think about what was being talked about, look stuff up, and then go back and start listening to the podcast again and like know what was going on. Because sometimes I didn't know what they were talking about. So I'd look it up. I'd have time to like research some things. And then I'd go back and listen and know exactly what was going on and know what they were talking about. And I liked that.
So other than Snarf Talk, which is obviously your favorite podcast.
Like a world. This is going to propel you into a world that you've never been in before, Craig.
I doubt it.
Please agree.
Yes, 100%.
We're recording right now.
You're about to be disappointed in my answer, but go ahead and ask your question.
What other podcast do you listen to?
I don't.
You don't listen to any other podcasts?
I really don't. You know what? This is going to sound really weird, but everything that I listen to is local. My sister. Okay, I listen to one other podcast, and it's my sister. My sister is a comedian, and so is my brother. So I listen to that.
I'm incredibly interested in this.
Yeah, I know you are.
And I will be honest, like half the time that I listen to it, I feel like I'm out of place because what she's talking about, I feel like she's talking to other comics who are just starting. Like they're at their starting point. She's subletting my house. So I will go over there while she's doing these, and I will be an audience member. So for me, I'm more comfortable in the background than I am in the front. I had to drink myself a little bit over here just to get myself a little bit comfortable.
So, promote her podcast. Tell everybody what it is.
See, now you're putting me on the spot, and I can't remember the name of her show.
Wait.
Remember
the name of your...
It's called The Happy Corner with KB and Marion. And like I said, because of
Sounds like a very nice,
it does,
friendly podcast.
It took me like 4 seconds to dissect the fact that The Happy Corner is THC. And she's a pothead corner.
Oh, I get it.
But I mean, it's pretty cool. Like she's talking to other comics. She had one where one of the guys that was on it actually was doing what do they call that? Where they do it like on the spot.
Oh, improv.
There we go. They were doing improv, and Robin Williams like just randomly showed up.
Wow.
What?
So this guy, like, I would love to interview a guy that knew anything about Robin Williams.
That's awesome.
Recently? Too soon?
It's been a couple years.
Okay.
I think it's cool.
Okay. Because he died.
So your sister and your brother are both professional comedians?
They are local comedians trying to make it.
Okay.
I mean, it's still...
Where do you be a local
yes.
comedian?
So
like Zanies? Or?
I mean, the big thing is for them to go to Zanies, but I know like
The Forge,
where we're from, they've been to the Forge.
Yep.
My brother was the MC for
Jake the Snake.
Jake the Snake.
Nice.
He hosted Jake the Snake at the Forge.
And my sister was on that ballot too, but the problem with that one was they double booked, and part of what they were doing was like what the hell was it? It was like the horny women of Will County, and they had strippers coming in after the fact,
That seems
after they were doing a
strange.
comedy show.
Sounds amazing.
So they were lining up.
Where was this at?
Do you really want to see the horny women of Will County?
Yeah.
You know Will
They were
County?
watching strippers though, but they were lining up, and they had like a whole nother standing room, but they could see everything that was going on. So it was ruining everybody
The
else's.
stand-up.
It was ruining the stand up.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Where's the Forge? What is
The
this?
Forge is downtown Joliet.
Downtown Joliet, man.
It's kind of by Harris.
Okay.
They have a lot of huge acts at the
Yeah, they
Forge
do.
for like rock music that I like a
lot
lot
of
of
stuff
metal,
you've heard.
heavy metal stuff.
That's interesting. I've been to the Rialto Theater.
Yeah, well, that's
It's not
dumb.
too far.
That's stupid. The Forge is where it's at. You need to go to the Forge.
I'm too old.
Does Third Eye Blind go there? Because that's all I want to
Twice.
see. That's the only band I want to see.
That was something else. Like one of your first podcasts, you were talking about Third Eye Blind. The first album they ever made, like those were my teenage years.
Yeah, I mean,
I could still sing you most of the first album.
yeah.
I think you guys are the same age. She might be older than
I
you.
think I'm older.
I'm 36.
I'm 38.
Oh man, you're
Yeah.
Way
oh my
older.
gosh, you're
No,
dead.
Third Eye Blind. Yeah, I've been like trying for years to start a Third Eye Blind cover band, but apparently nobody cares about them.
Can I be in it?
You can't play an instrument.
No, I can't, but I can sing like the best of them. I don't know if you listened to the last episode, Chris, but we had a huge guest on.
Yeah, we did.
Do you know what his name is?
Aaron Neville.
Aaron Neville,
Yeah.
Chris. And do you know who got to sing a duet with him?
You did.
I did. And
I
you
don't
know who
know.
I was? Linda Ronstadt. The only person in this county that could be Linda Ronstadt is me. I happened to be here at the exact time Aaron Neville needed a Linda Ronstadt. And
And turns out she's passed away. So you,
R.I.P.
you had to fill those high heel
Um,
shoes.
Right. But, I mean, I think my falsetto kind of,
I seen
knocked it
a-
out of the park.
Snapchat of you, your dad and your your brother?
Probably my whole family sat down and listened to this all together.
How did
and
that go?
It was the greatest thing ever.
You're
Everybody.
no longer welcome to family meetings.
Oh no. My dad.
All I heard in the video was your dad laughing and then saying something like, "This is not that bad," or something like that.
So he took my grandpa to have a surgery done at up by Chicago, and he had to sit out in the parking lot because he couldn't go in the hospital. So he's sitting out in the parking lot, and I texted him. This was on Friday, the day that the episode came out, and I was like, "Hey, if you're bored, I got an episode for you to listen to. Probably the greatest creation of in the world." And I was like, if you want a good laugh, you need to listen to it. So he listened to it for sure on Friday and called me right away. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, this is, and he liked it a lot. Then my mom calls me on the phone once he gets home because she listened to it. And that's what I didn't bring up in the last podcast is that I thought my mom was an Aaron Neville fan. Like I thought she really was. And I brought that up to her and she's like, no. Never liked that guy. It's like, oh, okay. Because I was going to bring it up that she was a huge fan, but
that killed
not
me.
so
You
much.
couldn't remember Michael Bolton.
I couldn't. We figured it out.
You figured out
She
eventually.
was a huge Michael Bolton
So
fan.
was my mom. Huge.
I mean, how can you not be? I think that's one of our next covers, Michael Bolton.
I don't know if I can do that.
I think we can.
That podcast though had a lot of traction.
It did. It had a lot of
It
traction.
had like thousands of whatever
hundreds
interactions.
of thousands.
Yeah.
My face hurt from smiling.
That's what I've heard from a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's what we aim to do.
I've been getting a lot of people have been reaching out to us like all over. People that I didn't even know listen.
Well, I mean, when you have a huge person on like Aaron Neville, you're going to get people that reach out.
Yeah.
Oprah called me on Saturday morning and she was like, I had Aaron Neville on in the 90s and I didn't get this much, love.
Yeah, I haven't
I was
looked
like-
at any of our numbers on that
I said,
show.
listen, Oprah.
I quit looking when they went to like
0.
6 digits.
Yeah.
I've
know.
played the first 20 minutes at least 3 times. I'm not going to lie.
I've listened to it back multiple times as well in my truck because I think it's the greatest thing we've ever done in my life. Just because when you have a huge guest on,
Well, we'll see if we can get Aaron back on someday.
maybe. I don't think he's doing much, to be
Jerry's
honest.
working real hard with Van Morrison's people.
Yeah. And I think we can get Van Morrison on. I mean, he sang Into the Mystic, Moondance, other stuff.
Brown Eyed Girl.
Brown Eyed
Was that
Girl
him?
for sure. And some other stuff. And I love him.
He's up there. I like Into the Mystic. I'll play that in the fall.
It's so good. I was just listening to it earlier.
Jerry
when I picked
texted
you
me
up.
the other day like an idiot. He goes, "Have you ever heard this song?"
No, I didn't. I said,
I'm
do
like,
you like this
Into
song?
the Mystic? Yeah. Like, this is a new song. Have you ever heard it?
I didn't say any of these things.
I'm like, yeah, it's probably my favorite song of all time. He's like, oh.
And then I was texting you about ABBA.
Yeah.
Because they're good, too. I
Yeah,
like ABBA.
I'm a huge ABBA fan as well.
I mean, the Swedes, man. Aren't they Swedish?
ABBA.
ABBA. What's that mean?
I don't know.
Father. Is that
I
what it
didn't
means?
know that.
I think it means grandfather.
What?
I thought it means Papa.
I think it means a grandfather's love.
Papa, can you hear me?
Grandfather, do you love me? Right?
I have no idea.
I think that's what ABBA means. I'm pretty
ABBA
sure.
means God as Father.
I knew it.
Yeah.
See?
It's
You
a
called it.
familiar form of address in Muslim families.
They're not Muslim. They're
No,
Swedish.
definitely not.
That's not accurate at all.
No, I mean, that's what it says on dictionary.com, so I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
It starts with dick. They don't know anything.
They don't know dick.
I don't know. They don't know dick.
Well, we got to do a top 10. We should have said that at the very
Oh,
beginning.
yeah. Hey, by the way, we got a top 10 coming
But
up.
we're going to do news first. But our top 10 tonight is going to be top 10 board games.
Sorry.
Do you know why it's going to be top 10 board games, Jerry?
You know, I have a little bit of a, insight into this. And the reason we are doing top 10 board games is because a fan, huge fan,
Yeah.
ridiculous fan,
Champion, if you will.
champion fan, requested this a few weeks ago. We kind of ignored him. And then he ended up winning our competition. So what we did was bring him on the show. His name's KERG BLAZE.
And I immediately regret saying it because he
So-
gave me like a 30-minute notice on like, hey, you've got to come up with 10.
I did. I said, hey, bring some headphones and bring a top 10 board games.
I brought one of the two.
And so now we're going to do top 10 board games because that's what Craig wants to do.
After the news.
After the
You got some news, right?
I don't have any news.
You don't have any news?
Nah, I don't really think
All
I
right.
do.
I got two
I've
things.
been busy,
I got
Chris.
two things. One thing is a little thing called HBO Max launched. I don't know if you're aware of that. Do you have it?
I do not.
According,
Do you have it?
I don't have it yet. I forgot that it came out.
But you
it
have
literally came out
HBO.
yesterday. Yeah, I have HBO.
Do you have HBO?
I still have cable, so at this point, I feel like if I'm going to do that, then I need to just stop having cable.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense.
No, you definitely should get rid of cable, I think.
I feel like if it's a matter of spending money on this or spending money on that, you're going to get way more value out of the streaming services than you're going to get out of cable.
I completely
I
agree.
totally want HBO Max. I just, at this point, I would be paying way more than I should for everything that I have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you kept cable, it's ridiculous. There's no reason to buy like every streaming service. But I was super anxious and like nervous to get rid of cable. I thought it was going to ruin my life.
No, you just stop
And it
watching the
didn't.
things that are on cable.
Exactly. You really do. And
And
but
the
no
couple
joke, I was
things
worried
like
about it.
AMC and FX are basically the only two networks that are worth a shit.
But then FX is
on
all
Hulu.
over
yeah,
Hulu.
it's on Hulu. And AMC, you can get the AMC app and just somebody else that has cable, you can get their login.
There's a lot of things that people talk about that I don't get anymore just because I don't have cable, and there's different shows that I haven't seen.
Most of
Like,
the things I watch on cable are on the broadcast networks.
But like Paramount, like the whole Yellowstone show
Yeah.
that dude talked about.
I have
and-
cable and I don't watch that, so
I know. I don't know why you have cable. Well, you get it for free.
I get it for free.
You're a cheater. He's wired into an underground network. That's yeah.
So anyway, HBO Max came out. I'm an HBO subscriber, but I subscribe to HBO via Amazon. So I have what's called Amazon Prime channels.
Mm-hmm.
And so the billing and everything just goes straight through my Amazon account. Costs the same amount of money. either
Right.
way. So
I didn't do that.
Amazon, it doesn't really matter either way. I've had it both ways, and I just found that it was easier to just do it through Amazon.
Sure.
Because
I agree.
whatever. Although the problem is Amazon and HBO have got themselves into a little bit of a war.
A little bit of a rift,
Yeah.
as they say.
So HBO Max is not available on Amazon or on Roku, the number 1 and number 2 streaming devices that exist.
Really?
Yeah.
What about the Fire? Amazon Fire Stick?
It is
It's
not
It
available.
wouldn't work then.
Yeah.
If it's Amazon.
The reason for this, Amazon says we want our
All the
Prime
money.
customers, so people like me,
Mhm.
to have access to that content through
Their platform.
their platform. So for example, me subscribing through Prime channels to me means nothing because I still use HBO Now, the app.
Right.
Okay, but I don't have to. I can use HBO in my normal Amazon menu. Like it just comes up as another channel.
Yeah. So my question is like, why can't you download HBO Max as a separate thing?
They don't have the app for Amazon.
You
Really?
still got to go through Amazon.
And
silly.
Amazon and HBO is saying, no, we don't want to put the content out through Amazon. We want to present the content in the way we want to present the content in our app, which makes sense to me because I don't even use, right now I use HBO Now's app
Yeah.
because I like their presentation of their content better than
Yes.
just having it be a random.
That's what I do as
channel.
well. I have the HBO Now app, and that's what
Right.
I've paid. I pay it through that app.
And I don't need to use the HBO Now app. If I didn't have it, I'd still have access to that same content through an Amazon Prime channel.
Okay.
All right. I just choose to use the HBO app because I like their interface.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the
nice.
better
I
ones
like
out
it
there.
a lot, yeah.
So
It takes a little bit to load sometimes.
yeah. So basically, HBO is saying no, we don't want to allow you to have a Prime channel with this content.
So how do you get it?
You don't. You can't get it right now.
Well, this is a real screw up on HBO's part.
And Roku's the same way. And I never had a Roku, but recently my dad doesn't like Amazon. I've been through it. The devices, I got him 2 Fire Sticks. He hates them.
Okay.
So I got him the Roku boxes, which actually are really nice.
They're very simple too. Yeah. My parents have one as well.
And so it's the same deal. Like Roku, you can buy all these streaming services like through Roku.
Yes.
And they show up as like channels
Yes.
on your Roku menu. It's handy. But same thing is happening with HBO and Roku. They want to be in charge of presenting the content. And HBO says, no, we want to present the content. Eventually, this will get worked out. But
Yeah,
for now,
I'm sure,
I don't have access to the content. And furthermore, since I subscribe through Amazon, I can't even download the app
But do
on
you
my
know
computer.
And do you know how many millions of people are probably in the exact same situation as you?
13 million, in fact.
The,
13 million people are HBO subscribers through Amazon Prime channels.
and that's probably not all of them.
I have a TV, and the TV in my
I
bedroom
have
is.
a TV as well, correct?
I have a Roku TV in my room, and that's how I watch. I mean, I have the option of putting it onto just regular cable or one of the channels.
Yeah.
So for me, like I'm typically watching like Hulu or Amazon or Netflix
Yep.
on that back TV. So that
Yeah.
really sucks for me if I can't do Roku on it.
This is my understanding. It could change, and it probably will change very quickly. All they have to do is HBO. It's either HBO needs to
Say, okay, we'll do it your way, or Amazon
just do it the
has to
same
say,
way they do it right now with HBO Now app.
I
It's
know.
the same thing.
I
That's a
know.
weird launch if they're not going
It's
to
a
do
very
it.
odd launch. It's a very odd launch also because they've already launched. They launched a month ago.
No, they didn't.
Yes, but only to Comcast subscribers
Oh, I didn't know that.
because HBO is owned by Comcast.
I thought they came, but the main launch was on the 27th. May 27th was the main launch.
But there was
of
a
all of it.
pre-launch for Comcast subscribers.
I didn't know that.
So
I mean, apparently HBO Max has a better and more diverse selection than Disney Plus.
they have 10,000. They're launching with 10,000 movies and TV shows. A lot of Warner Brothers back catalog stuff. A lot of the launch day stuff, honestly, was fine. A lot of movies, but I'm just probably not going to go rewatch. I'm not going to go watch Wizard of Oz. You know what I mean? Stuff like
How
that.
was the DC Unlimited stuff going to work on there?
Supposedly,
They're a separate
They're
thing.
still going to maintain a separate app, but I
Yeah.
think that content will still be available within the HBO Max app.
It is, but it's also still it's still available on their own app along with new releases. So any DC like shows that are coming out soon will be released on their own app and through HBO Max. So nothing changes. Like You can watch it either place. So you don't have to have a subscription or have the app for DC. You can just get it through HBO. But if you already have the DC app, keep it, and you're going to get the same content.
Would you still have the access to like the comic books and stuff?
Just through the DC app.
Yeah, as far as I know, through the DC app.
I don't know, honestly. I don't know, and I won't know until the end of the month when my Amazon, because I'm just going to drop it off of Amazon and just subscribe right to HBO Max. And I don't know how I'm going to get it on my TV.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, how do you even get it on your TV? You're going to have to do it through your computer.
Yeah, for now. I mean, they'll fix this quickly.
This is stupid.
Yeah. But my point in that, too, is there's not a lot of content in there. I don't need to see every season of Friends, whatever they're launching with.
I don't care about
But
Friends.
apparently they are launching, and they have launched with the Snyder Justice League cut.
They launched with it?
I believe so.
It's not done. I thought they were putting it together.
I think it must be done because the thing I was reading
without CGI?
No, I think they did it already.
No. Are you serious? They just released that news article that they were going to
Well, maybe the article I read had no idea what they were talking about, but
that'd be
maybe
incredible.
it was a
Do you know
teaser.
about this?
The Snyder cut?
Yeah.
I was going to post it onto your thing, and then I realized you were going to post it anyway, so I let you have carte blanche on that.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep, I'm all for you.
I think, Chris, you posted it, didn't you?
yes, I did.
I didn't even see it. I wasn't even aware.
Maybe it's not out yet. I don't know. But anyway, I'm sure it'll all get resolved, and I can wait a couple months' time.
It is what it is. Yeah, I forgot it even came out yesterday, so you reminded me tonight that HBO Max was a thing, and I'm still excited for it.
All right, the second thing I got here is actually, weirdly enough, a local news story, which we've never done on here.
No, we haven't.
But it is a crazy story.
A local news story.
Tornadoes.
The first thing is related to the story is it is insane how people drive nowadays. Has it not gotten completely out of control?
It has,
especially on the interstates.
Yeah, interstates are really bad.
That's why I like going to Morris, though. They're a little bit more calm than anywhere else.
You're about to hear a story about that.
Perfect.
Illinois State Police released information regarding 4 crashes that occurred on Interstate 80 just west of Brisbane Road. This is right down the road from us.
Yeah.
A white Toyota was traveling at Interstate 80 in the left lane. A white Toyota Prius was traveling in the same direction in the white lane. The driver of the Paseo, the first car, crossed over the lane markings and struck the left rear side of the Prius, which ended up in the ditch. The driver of the Paseo fled the scene as the vehicle was left abandoned, partially in the right lane of the interstate and the shoulder, with hazard lights on. Fled the scene. No injuries reported as a result of that crash. 30 minutes later, a gray Chevy Traverse traveling on Interstate 80 struck the rear end of the abandoned car from the first accident. As a result of that collision, the Traverse traveled across all lanes of traffic, going into the center ditch, while the Paseo also went in the ditch. The driver of the Traverse, minor injuries. At 11:16 p.m., the Illinois State Police said a red GMC tow truck, which was from a local tow company that I know, was stationed on the shoulder with emergency lights on when a white Volvo truck tractor semi-trailer was traveling eastbound and struck the tow truck. As a result of the collision, the semi-truck drove into the median, overturned. The trailer became detached, ended up on the road, crossing both lanes of traffic, and came to a rest. No injuries reported. After the third incident, Illinois State Police said all westbound lanes of traffic were closed for crash investigation. Traffic was being diverted off on Brisbane Road. A fully marked Minooka Police Department vehicle was stopped with emergency lights on in the middle of the road, assisting the troopers with lane closures. A white Nissan Rogue, driven by Sahar Abdullah, 22, of Orland Park,
Sounds like a rogue.
young female,
No comment.
failed to yield to police vehicles and continued to drive through the scene of the previous motor vehicle accident. While traveling through the crash site, she struck 4 tow truck operators. There were a total of 8 tow truck operators assisting with the crash, who were working on the roadway as a result of the previous crashes. Abdullah continued traveling through the crash site with one of the tow truck operators on the front of her hood. The Illinois State Police said Abdullah allegedly passed multiple tow trucks on the scene, all with emergency lights activated. That is when the white GMC That is when a white GMC street sweeper assisting with the cleanup was traveling westbound at the same location and attempted to make an U-turn in order to go eastbound when the front end of her vehicle struck the front end of the street sweeper. After the collision with the street sweeper, the tow truck operator, who remained on the front of the hood, when the vehicle came to rest in the center median. The tow truck operator was transported to the hospital, non-life-threatening injuries. Abdullah and the remaining tow truck drivers were not injured. She was charged with driving under the influence of drugs, failure to yield a stationary emergency vehicle causing injury, improper lane usage, illegal transportation of cannabis, and 8 counts of reckless conduct.
So then, like, the main point of this is that drugs are bad.
It's just a crazy set of circumstances to happen.
I think people are so happy to leave their houses, they don't care they're on drugs.
Yeah, I agree. I
Just
understand.
a weird, crazy set of
That is
circumstances.
very strange.
That somehow nobody died in. Although I know for a fact
yeah.
the tow truck driver, who they said was not injured, left, went home, and then later on, like, started feeling sick, went to the hospital, has a broken neck.
What?
Yeah.
Like, and he was fine from that? Like, he survived
No, well,
a broken neck?
Survived. Yeah. I mean, he survived. Yeah. He
Could have been in shock.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he was for a while.
But anyway, the point is, isn't that insane? And how many people are driving around fucking hammered?
A lot.
Like, at all times.
There was a terrible accident on Grand Ridge Road this last weekend. But, I mean, it was like in the early morning, and it ended up being because of a DUI, you know, like a drunk driver. And it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and there's already drunk drivers on the road?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I think people are just really that bored. I really do.
I think there's a lot more people driving around messed up than you think, and also a lot of more people driving around not paying any attention on their phones than anybody realizes.
I think that is the biggest problem, is that most people are not paying any attention whatsoever and are on their
How
phones.
do you... The first accident, first of all, somebody went right into another car.
Right.
And then that person fled the scene and left their car in the road.
Yeah.
But the second person then hit that car that was
That's
parked with this
off on the side
hazards
of the
right.
road.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was a little bit into the lane. But if you're driving long,
Like, you should
how
clearly
do
be able
you
to see
hit
this.
a car? And then obviously the last person that drove through the crash site, I don't even know what to say about that. Either she was so messed up or she was just completely like freaking out and just couldn't figure out how to stop.
I don't know. I don't know how any of that happens. I mean, I can't say I've been perfect. Obviously, I'm not perfect at driving, and there's been a lot of times where I have been distracted and driving. But I've never ran anyone over. I've never driven through crash sites. I've never hit a parked vehicle. I don't know. A lot of this seems strange to me.
That's why you drive back roads if you're doing something stupid.
Well, right. And that's what we do around here. But you, city guy,
We still got them in
do you
Minooka and
have
Shanahan.
back roads?
Oh, yeah. I got my back roads.
Alleys don't count.
No, there's no alleys.
Okay.
A lot of
Where-
Riverwalk.
Where are your back roads?
I call it Big Basin Road. I don't know what it is. We got
I don't know
farms.
what that is.
We got farms. We got
Uh,
plural
There's
farms.
up there.
There's some.
It's still like kind of the country.
We kind
Not
of
really.
We got a cool
It's
pumpkin
a lot
farm.
different now.
It is a way different now.
They
than
do
it
have a
used to be.
pumpkin farm.
The badass pumpkin farm.
Oh, what's that called? Dollinger's?
Yep.
Yeah,
I
the
don't know.
owner is like one of my best friends.
Yeah.
I love that pumpkin farm. I've been going there every year for like 20 plus years.
It's right
Shout
across.
out Dollinger Pumpkin Farm.
Hey,
Boom.
holla at your boy.
Do you got any more news?
I didn't have any news to begin with.
Oh, that is odd.
I know it really is. I haven't been searching.
Because there has been a bunch of news, like in general,
like what?
like the whole Scarface thing I put out the other day.
Oh yeah,
There
and
were-
the Labyrinth is going to have another sequel.
Yeah, there's
which I
tons of
love.
stuff, Jerry, and you're not writing it down. You're not paying any attention.
I've been busy. Sorry,
All right, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it another time.
but yeah, the Labyrinth is coming. They're supposedly making a sequel. Obviously, David Bowie can't be the what is he?
Why?
Well, he's passed away.
Well, but they can computerize
He's
them.
passed on. They could digitize him. I'm
They've
sure.
done it before.
They did it with Prince, didn't they?
They
do
made
a
Carrie
whole
Fisher
concert
like
with Prince.
They made Carrie Fisher like young and hot again
She was so hot.
in Rogue One.
Man, she was hot.
Like big news.
I like her sister, daughter.
Wait, who?
Carrie Fisher's daughter.
I don't know what she looks like.
She's been in the newer Star Wars movies.
What?
Yeah,
No.
she was in the newer Star Wars movies, and then she was in American Horror Story.
Okay, I don't know.
What's her name?
I don't know.
Carrie Fisher's
Carrie
daughter.
Fisher's daughter,
I
yeah.
think that's what they just put her as. In
Big
there.
news out one is that Disney World is reopening.
I know. I posted that on our social
In
media.
July, my Disney stock went through the roof.
Good.
And I bought like a ton more when it was dirt cheap.
Sell me some.
And it's gone way up. So I'm excited about that. I'm not going in this summer because I don't go to Disney in the summer. But you bet your ass I'll be going in the winter because the place is going to be half empty.
No, it won't. It's going to be packed.
You think so?
Absolutely, I think so. From July, you're talking 5 months. 5 months from July after it reopens.
Are they opening
You think
at
it's
full
gonna
capacity?
be dead?
I didn't read the article.
Even neither did I. But even that's the thing. If it does not open at full capacity by this winter, it will be open at full capacity, and that's when everybody's going to go.
Okay. Well, maybe.
You would be ridiculous to go in the winter. I think. I think your best bet is to go now, like in July.
Nope.
You have to.
No, I'm not doing that.
You're gonna have to.
The Scarface one that I mentioned was a reboot coming. And are you a big Scarface fan, either of you guys?
I like the movie. It's
I
great.
watched the original and I watched the Al Pacino one. The
Say
original one
it.
is made in the 50s.
Say hello, my little friend.
I'm a fan. I think it got a little bit overhyped. There was like a period where that was like a big deal, that movie, Scarface. It was a good movie.
I'm more of a Goodfellas guy.
I am a big fan of the Coen brothers, though. And
Of
they're the
course.
ones that are rebooting it.
So are they gonna?
That's very interesting.
So
to
they're
me.
redoing the original movie, or like the Al Pacino movie.
It will be a direct reboot of the 1983 film with Al Pacino.
Okay. Who do they have as the lead?
Well, I don't know if they've figured it out.
Who
They're
do they
not
have
directing it. They're
as-
just writing the screenplay.
Oh, they aren't gonna direct it? Well, it'll be shit.
What if he's still going to be an immigrant dude then?
I didn't come over on no banana boat. Isn't that what he says? Something like that. Something about a banana boat.
I believe so because they were Cuban, right?
Yeah.
Or Puerto Rican. Cuban?
Oof. You can't mix those up.
I can, and I did.
That's illegal.
Well, anyway, I don't know more details on that, but I'm excited about it. And with that, let's get to the top 10.
That's the news, I guess.
Top 10 board games. At first, I thought, boring topic.
Still sorry about it.
Yeah. At first, I thought, I don't know how
But then,
to rank
then I
this
started
stuff.
looking at it, and I'm like, you know what? I like games. I'm a big fan of games
I know you are.
in general.
Your whole life is a game.
And I like finding new games to play.
Do you?
Yeah. And so recently I just got a new game, and I haven't played it yet. It's called Ticket to Ride. And it's
So I've been seeing it on these.
supposed to be one of the
lists.
best games. And
Yeah.
another one that I've been wanting to get is Pandemic, which I haven't played yet.
No, we've been playing it for a while now, Chris,
Yeah.
and I think it's not.
But it's
worth a
also
shit.
rated one of the better games. So I'm a big fan of board games. The problem is like finding people to play board games with.
Damn
Yeah.
right.
Because nobody ever wants to play board games. Like nobody that I know
I'll be your friend.
likes to play games. And I want to play like
I love games,
tabletop games. You know, like Will Wheaton games.
like board games that you set on a table.
Yeah, but like more in-depth nerdy games.
Yeah, like Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, maybe not that in-depth. I would love to play Dungeons and Dragons. One time I asked Jerry to play Dungeons and Dragons and he basically laughed at me
No, I
and said I
didn't.
would never play that.
I didn't say that.
That's exactly what happened, word for word.
That was half my problem with making this list, though, because I watched that Will Wheaton, the tabletop games.
Yeah, it's a great show.
And he
I watched
makes
that all
he
the
makes
time.
me want to play more board games, but you need.
Wait, he has a show about this?
He's got a show called Tabletop Games.
You need
I didn't know.
like
this.
4 people that actually give a shit and don't like check out 10 minutes into the game and just
Yeah.
be like, man, I don't care.
They're in-depth games, but he gets in-depth.
Yeah, you need people that care and
Yeah.
want to play a game.
Yes.
He did one on Pandemic, and he's like, at some point, everybody names the viruses that are spreading. It was, I don't know, it was awesome.
So you can't have kids around. We can't have kids around doing this.
No.
Like at all.
I don't ever want kids around.
Not for
I
tabletop
understand.
games.
I understand.
No, I want to play like I do have some people that I play one of the games on my list. Play this game with them, and they're like really into it, and it's a lot of fun. And you just need a dedicated group of people. I do have a card game that I should bring in that I think you would enjoy. It's called Legendary. It's actually a Marvel card game. It's a really fun game.
I think we've talked about it before, haven't we?
Probably. We could play that sometime.
I thought we have. But I mean, I'm all for it. I would absolutely play board games with you whenever you
The
want.
problem is I use all of my free time away from my wife to do this podcast.
I know, as do I.
And I can't find, there's no way I'm ever going to find a game that my wife is going to be interested in playing. So that's pretty much where we're
Unless you can find a board game that is like online.
Yeah.
That's the only way it's going to work.
Which they've put a lot of board games online.
There's a fun game.
Almost the same though.
There's a fun
No,
game we've been
I
playing
agree.
called Drawful. And it's by the people who
I
make You Don't
downloaded
Know
it.
Jack.
Yeah. I love Jackbox games.
And we've been playing it over, not Skype, but what's the thing we've been using?
Switch.
Zoom.
You can do it. No, you can't do it on Switch. You can only do it with the people that are in the room with you. You can play it on Switch, but I can't play it at my house with you at your house.
You
have
told
to,
me you could.
No. Yes, you can. Listen. So if you're not going to play it on Switch, you have to play it on computer,
Okay.
and you have to hook your computer to the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is, what's the Microsoft version of Skype that's
Mixer.
like free?
Yeah.
Oh, Hangouts, Google Hangouts. So I open a Google Hangout and I share my screen, so we're seeing the same screen. And then you actually play on your phones
Okay.
or iPads. It's really fun though. It's kind of like Pictionary, but
Sure.
you draw a picture of something you get, and you draw a picture of it on your phone, and then it goes up on the screen, and then everybody else has to make up a headline for your picture,
Okay.
and then it shows all the headlines that everybody made up, and then you vote on which you think is the real headline. And
The other people do.
Everybody votes, and you get
Not
points.
you.
Well, not you.
Not the person
You
that
draw
drew the picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if people pick the right picture, that means you drew a good picture, and you get points, and they get points. If people pick somebody else's, like if Craig wrote a headline that was funny, and people picked that one, he would get points.
Oh, I see.
It's fun. It's
Yeah,
fun.
there
game.
It
was
sounds fun.
Yeah, there was a thing for that was free on Xbox Live for a while.
Yeah, it was. That's where I got it.
Yeah, that's why I got it too, but I've never played it.
It was free on Steam. Well, actually, it was free on Switch, so I got it on there first, and we were playing it at home.
I got it for 9
And then I
cents.
got it at Steam. Yeah.
9 cents on
You
Switch.
overpaid, bro.
I know. Apparently, I did. Everyone else gets it for
So
free.
we have been playing it remotely with some friends of ours, so we could. Originally, when I told you to get it, we were going to play it, and then we
Yeah.
never ended up doing
Well,
it.
we ended up recording that.
Because that's what we do with Jackbox. We'll play those, but you have to put it on a streamer, and you still have to use your phone, but then you have that delay on the streamer on whatever you're using
Right.
to do those games.
Yeah.
But that one is a lot like Fibbage on Jackbox.
Yep, I have never played that one, but they advertise it. so.
That's one of the funner ones to play on Jackbox.
Yeah.
Interesting. You
All
guys
right.
are all about it.
So let's get to the board games, though. The real meat and potatoes here. We'll start with number 10.
Who's starting? Do we let the guest start, or do you always start like normal?
I'll
Because
just
you're so
start.
controlling.
I'll start.
Okay.
My number 10 is a game that probably most people don't remember at all, but I used to play it all the time when I was a kid. My grandma had it.
Oh boy, what is it?
It's called Upwords.
Upwards. I do remember this game.
Remember that game?
Why
Is that like Scrabble?
It's like Scrabble, except the letters are like little tiles, but they're like three-dimensional, like
and you
cups.
stack them on
You
top
you
of
can
each other.
stack 'em.
Yep, I remember that.
So you can build words left, right,
Or up.
up, down, and then like on top of each other.
Yeah,
That's a genius idea.
it is a genius
Whoever
idea.
came up with that idea should get a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, they did get like the Board Game of the Year award. No, I have no idea.
It should be a phone app.
Really?
It should be a phone app. That's right. And Scrabble's kind of taken
well, I
up all
guess
the
it-
glory when it comes to like word-based games.
Yeah.
But I always had a lot more fun with Upwards.
And you know, I wasn't ever a big Upwards player until later in my life, and I would agree with you.
Later in your life, when? When
Yeah.
have you been playing Upwards? I didn't know this game existed outside of my grandmother's house.
Oh, really? Yeah, I played it a lot, like in my 20s, I should say.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was David Seaton involved?
I don't think so.
It would be fun
Nate
to play
was.
games
Nate
with
was involved.
David Seatop.
Pagoda.
I would like to get David into a game night.
To be honest, I don't think I've ever really played any games with him besides Tiger Woods.
He might think they're a waste of his time.
No, he'd be into board games. Yeah, I know he would.
All right. Number 10, Craig.
Oh, this sucks. I apologize in advance. But,
Why are you're so negative about your list before you even start it?
Because once I actually did the list, I realized how freaking hard it is. I don't think I've played 10 board games, or I've just barely hit 10 board games. But the reason I picked my number 10 is because my kids are into this. And I don't even think this is an old game, but Jumanji?
Oh yeah, we have that. I got it for my son last year for Christmas.
That's a legitimate board game?
It is.
It is now, but like the way it plays is once you hit a certain spot, it's got like the old school color coded. You put it underneath the little panel, and then you can read what it says, and you got to roll dice to try to get what's on that.
I don't remember exactly, but yeah, it's kind of a complicated game for kids because I bought it and I tried to play it with my 4-year-old and 6-year-old. My 6-year-old could get it. My 4-year-old was a little tough for them. So it's a little bit complicated, but it's a fun game.
Yeah, but both my kids are they're 8 and 6, so they barely got it, but they got it enough where they wanted to play it again, which I can't get them into board games, so that's why it's on my number 10.
I would say it would be interesting to play with kids that are old enough that can actually play it. My kids weren't quite there when we were playing it, and so it basically becomes kind of a clusterfuck.
Yeah. It's going to be a phase. Once they're done with it, it's going to be over.
Yeah, I think we played it a couple times, and that was about it.
Okay, mine, number 10. It's a very simple game, but I've always loved it, and I think it's very fun to play with a group of people, even though it's so simple. It's called Apples to Apples.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
We have that game.
Do you?
Yeah.
Everybody has this game.
Yeah,
because everybody plays it, which is exactly why it should be on a top 10, because everybody plays this game and everybody loves it. It's super simple comparison game, obviously. Apples to apples. Red cards, green cards.
Never played it.
You've never played Apples to Apples?
It's like a kid's game.
I played Cards Against Humanity, which they tell me is like pretty similar. But I've never played Apples to Apples.
That's an extreme version of Apples to Apples, yes. But it's based off of the exact same thing.
Okay.
But there's a board for that?
Is there a board?
There's no board.
There's no board, Jerry.
Oh,
that's why I didn't include it in my shit.
I didn't even think about that.
And we had a discussion before this game started that there has to be a board involved in the game.
Well, good thing I have multiple.
So pick another one, Jerry.
The only one that I didn't rank was Scattegories.
Okay, there's no board in that one either.
There isn't? Oh,
is there?
No.
I don't remember.
I love Scattegories, but I didn't put it on my list because I don't think there's a board.
I say you count it because I'm about to ruin it with my number 9 anyway.
I'm pretty sure there's no board in Scattegories, just so you know.
I thought there was a board.
But I'll let it fly because there are a bunch of little boards where you write on. And Scattegories is a freaking awesome game. It's one of my favorite games, but I did not put it on my list.
One of your favorite games you didn't put on your list.
It's not a board game. That's why I didn't put it on my list.
It is a board game. You've got a board.
Are you sure about that?
You have a board that you write your lists on.
Yeah, okay. There's no main board.
I know, there isn't.
Okay,
let's
just move on for
10.
you. My number 9 is a game that is a sequel to a game.
A sequel?
Yeah, it's like a version of a game.
But not a sequel, because that's different.
Okay. It's Clue, but Clue, the Great Museum Caper. It's a completely separate Clue game.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever played that.
And I love that game. I've always liked it.
So it's just about a museum.
So, and I haven't played it in a long time, so I might get it wrong. But it's like a 3-dimensional board, right? It's like a Clue board, but it's 3-dimensional.
Does it pop out?
Yeah, it pops up, and it's a museum. All right. And one person gets to play the thief, and there's like paintings in the different rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One person plays the thief, so they don't actually have a piece on the board, but they have a map of the board in a piece of paper in their hand, and they move according to however they move. And then they have to go around the museum stealing paintings. And based on what's going on in the game, the other people in the game have to figure out where that thief is and catch him.
Wow.
And I liked Clue. You know, I've always liked Clue. We play it all the time. We still played it the other day with the kids. Played it my whole life. But I don't know, there's a certain element to Clue that I feel is a little bit repetitive sometimes. And this game throws in a whole element of strategy that Clue doesn't have, and I think it gives it a lot better. It's a lot funner game.
It sounds awesome. It sounds way better than regular Clue to me.
It's a fun game. I enjoy it. I haven't played it really since I've been like a kid, but we used to play it all the time.
That sounds great. Have you ever played that?
No, I never even heard of it.
3D art theft mystery in the classic Clue tradition.
Oh, I'd never heard of it either, but I mean, I've heard of Clue, but never a sequel to
And
Clue.
all the other people in the game can put down motion detectors. There's different pieces that are like motion detectors. And so if the thief is in that room or goes in that room, it can trigger a motion detector. And then the thief has to say like, I've triggered motion detector 4. And then everybody knows kind of an area of the board they are at.
Wait. So if the thief is saying triggered these.
There is an element of honesty that the thief has to use.
So you would immediately know you're the thief then, right?
No. You know who the thief is. They just don't have a piece on the board. So you don't know where they are.
Oh.
And to get out, they got to steal as many paintings as they can, and then they got to get out of the museum. At one end of the museum, there's 2 locked doors, and they have to remove the locks.
Oh my gosh, removing locks is the hardest.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Are they master locks?
Yeah, they're master locks.
Ooh, that's hard to do.
You should get a universal bolt cutter. It'd be fine.
Bingo.
It's a fun game. I recommend everybody check it out.
Nice.
All right, number 9, KERG.
All right, so I don't know if this counts, so I can't judge you too harshly.
Oh,
my
no,
number
I can,
9.
I
go
take
ahead.
all
Go
the
ahead, judge.
judgments.
All right, so my number 9 is Don't Break the Ice.
Yeah, I think it counts,
That
and
does
I
count.
freaking love that game.
So yeah, my big thing is, you probably can't see my shirt, but my son's autistic, so he's very, very, very picky on anything that I play, and that's one of those games where like it don't matter. The minute I say, "Let's play Don't Break the Ice," he will stop whatever he's doing, and we will play that game. So
I like it. It's a little bit of a not nostalgia pick, but a sentimental pick.
Sentimental, and it works for. It's nostalgic for me too.
So
Yeah, Don't Break the Ice. That's
when
a good
you're
one.
saying "Don't Break the Ice," are you talking the version with the hammer and the cubes?
Yes.
Have you ever played Thin Ice?
No.
Isn't it like tissue paper or
Yeah,
something
you take
on
a
it?
piece of Kleenex
Oh.
and you have wet marbles.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I never had Don't Break the Ice as a kid. I had Thin Ice, and I thought that it was I heard people talk about Don't Break the Ice.
And you thought
it was the same
thing.
game.
Right.
And then when my kids were, older, we got Don't Break the Ice.
That's
and I got
the
it out, and
only
I'm like,
time you knew that it wasn't the same game.
Yes, that's the only time I knew. But we played Thin Ice like crazy all the time.
Thin Ice is good. I played that a lot too. But Don't Break the Ice is the classic. That's where everything comes from.
I think
and
that
I
is the
played
classic,
that more
right?
You're damn right. I think every school's got it too.
because you put the little guy in the middle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
You
the
stick
little
him in the
polar
middle.
bear
Yeah,
ice skater. Yeah,
yeah, it is. It's a polar
the
bear
polar
ice
bear is
skate.
an ice skater.
Classic. Love
Fun
it.
game.
Mine is a little bit different, a little more involved.
You're number 9, right?
My number 9 is a little more involved, and it involves war.
Okay.
Do you have a guess?
Risk?
No. It's called Axis and Allies.
His cousin.
It's just like the video game, but it originated as a board game.
Yeah, I've seen it. That is one game I've seen my entire life, like at Walmart in the board game alley, and I'm like, I want that game, and I've never played
And
it.
it's awesome. My brother and I played it all the time, and my sister, because there was 3 of us. And you could be either Allied forces or Axis forces, obviously, and then you try to take over certain portions of the board.
So how's it different than Risk?
It's a little bit different just because it's World War II based. That's it. So you can be like Germany, you can be the US, you can be Great Britain. It's similar to Risk. Like Risk is obviously
roll
based off
dice
of
and
this.
stuff?
Yeah. And you take over certain portions of the country or
Okay.
of the world, really. And you have to hold them for a certain amount of time in order to win the game. So you keep rolling dice and keep taking over portions. It can go a really long time if you have multiple people playing. I don't know. It's great. It's like a super classic game. I am obsessed with World War II. I always have been, and that's why I always loved it. It's my number 9.
There you go. My number 8 is, man, it's a game that I still play all the time with my kids. It's the most frustrating game that ever existed in the history of mankind. One that would cause every childhood beat-down fight between me and my sisters. And still to this day...
Beat down fights?
Yeah. Still to this day is a insanely frustrating game. And that game is Sorry.
Okay, I didn't think you were going there, but I agree with you.
Have you ever played Sorry?
A lot.
It is incredibly frustrating, and it is like you can directly attack people unfairly. And it just causes a huge amount of fighting in all ages. And it's fun.
Yeah, I completely
And there's a lot
agree
of
with you.
strategy to it, and that's why I like Sorry. It really, there's a lot of strategy to it, kind of like a lot of critical thinking at times, making the right choices and stuff. But there's really no other vindictive game that allows you to just completely screw somebody over when they're right at the cusp of
Right. If you hit the right thing.
Yeah,
Like
if
if
you
you
can get
roll
the-
the right roll
The
and
11.
get 'em, and you get a slide.
Yeah, or get an 11 where you can switch places.
Yes. No, I agree. I love Sorry.
Or get a Sorry card. I mean, it literally caused
Sorry.
most of the fighting between my siblings and I in my childhood.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine was a different game that we may get to later.
All right. Number 8, Craig.
All right, my number 8. It's another thing that involves my kids. So I played a lot of Candyland.
Oh,
So Candyland for me, I've played the old school version where you got the cards. I've played the newer one. Actually has a little what do they call it? Little flipper. And I have found out that people cheat on both of them. It doesn't matter which one you're playing.
Yeah.
When I used to play with my sister, she would seriously say she knows she would want to play it, and she would stack it so she knew exactly what she was getting, and she would win. My daughter will put it in a spot where she's going to get those double whatever colors, and she'll just immediately get ahead of me. But she knows what she's doing, and it's a good game for our family.
yeah. They also have like a million different versions, so you can get like all different kinds.
I think that's a big thing with this, with any board game, is like family. Like you play all of these with your family, right?
Yeah.
And it's all based off of what you did as a kid. And then going on into your adulthood, you base it off of like what you had done as a child with your family and how much you hated each other because of it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so my number 8, after you guys have all done your number 8s, now I get to do mine finally.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so my number 8, after you guys have all done your number 8s, now I get to do mine finally.
Yep.
Thank you. It's a game that I didn't play until I was in high school, and I played it in ag class.
Okay.
And I've loved it ever since then.
No idea.
And I think the only time I've ever actually played it was in high school for ag class because I never bought it. I should.
Was it that farm game?
The farming game.
Yeah, I used to play that at my grandma's house all the time.
It is so fun.
It's actually a really fun game.
It's incredible. So you literally...
You trade commodities.
you trade commodities. You have your own crops. You buy and sell things, livestock, and you run your own farm, basically. Like you're running a farm, and you're trying to make money off of the things that you have. And I love it. It's kind of similar to...
Settlers of Catan?
yes, it's similar to that, but
There's
it's like
no way. It's not in any way.
Yes, it
similar to
is.
that.
It's based off of that game. That's what we were always told. That's what Meyerhofer said, is like it's based off of this game, but it's just like a simplified version as a single farm. And I don't know. I always really enjoyed it because we played it in the time frame of school, like in that class. It was in ag business. Mm-hmm. And we played it because we were like marketing and learning about marketing. So we played that game in order to like figure out what we were doing. And it was fun. Yeah. I mean, obviously it's a game, but do you remember that portion of the class where you had to like buy and sell things like on like futures and hedge and
No, but I'm sure we did.
you're so old.
Yeah. It was a
Do you
long
not
time
remember
ago.
anything?
No, not really. Not much.
Your just brain is just fried.
Not
Just
much
fried.
from high school. No, that's a
All
long
right.
time
Well,
ago, man.
look it up. If you don't know what the farming game is, look it up. It's fun. I like it.
It is
and
a
I
fun
think I
game.
need to buy that game and play it at home.
Yeah.
If he's only slightly younger than I am, I just hit my 20-year anniversary today, or this year. So,
I'm getting pretty close. Yeah.
yeah, I'm 2000. That's when I graduated.
My sister, same class as you. My number 7 is I did Upwards, and I do actually prefer Upwards as a game, but I got to give credit where credit's due to the Scrabble.
Scrabble. It's where it's at, man.
It's been a worldwide phenomenon. I love playing the game. I love Scrabble, and
It's so fun.
I like playing it on my phone.
I love making up words.
Yeah, it's great. So I do like Upwards. I think to play a game, I'd probably pick Upwards. But I'll play a game of Scrabble. And I like playing it on my phone, too. It's fun.
Yes. And it also evolved into Words with Friends.
Yeah, yeah.
But Scrabble's like one of the originals. I feel like it has to be on a top 10.
Yeah,
And if
it's
it
got-
isn't, you'll never be a guest again.
Double word scores, triple
I actually
word
have
scores.
the Scrabble version of Words with Friends.
Oh, all right. Good. There's a Scrabble version?
Yes.
What's the difference?
Scrabble is Scrabble.
Why isn't Words with Friends like Scrabble? Just called something different?
Not
No.
really.
Words with Friends is Scrabble, but it's Words with Friends.
Except it's not exactly like Scrabble. Scrabble has its own little nuances.
With the board
Yeah, the board.
is one of the nuances.
Yeah.
Words with Friends is all on your phone. So
Yeah.
I get it.
There's a way to cheat on both of them, so you're good.
There is.
There's
Unless
a
you
way
go
to-
by the Scrabble
It's harder
dictionary.
to cheat on an actual physical board game, though.
That's why I don't play the physical one.
Okay. There we go.
Well, anyway, that was my number 7. Craig, your number 7 is...
All right, so my number 7, you guys, I don't think maybe either one of you heard of this. It's called Hero Quest.
I've heard of it. I've not played it.
So
I have
this
not.
this game came out in the late 80s. I remember asking for this for Christmas. And this game is seriously like the closest you can get to playing D&D without playing D&D.
Really?
So I
Well,
always got
I want to get it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess we have to get it now.
I ended up buying it on eBay like many years later because I still wanted it after the fact. I didn't get
You
it.
never got it.
I never got it.
That's
And
so
it comes in great
disappointing.
pieces. You got a game master. You have like your different characters with different stats. It plays like a D&D, but it's like I'm not that much of a dork, but I'm super close.
No, you are.
I was that.
Yeah.
I totally was.
So you've played it then?
I have. I played it back in the day. I just didn't own it.
Oh, I gotcha. It
It
sounds
looks
fun.
cool. I'm looking at pictures of it, and it's right up my alley.
Yeah,
It's got a lot of little pictures of people that look like wizards and trolls and stuff.
So it's fantasy based. Is there any swords? Do you see swords?
There's
I see
swords.
there's a
There's
lot
a
of swords.
barbarian. There's a barbarian in the game.
It's definitely fantasy then.
Definitely, for sure.
Wow.
It's like no other game you've played. 14 different quests inside.
Really?
A new adventure each time you play.
And there was expansion packs for it.
Dark
That's just what was on
caverns,
there.
gory monsters, deadly traps, and worse. Once you enter the mysterious underground world of Hero Quest, there's no turning back.
None.
Once you play the part of Zargon, the evil sorcerer, with your mutant monster force, you'll plot against the heroes. Watch as they fall prey to your cunning traps.
I will never not be a hero.
The rest of you must battle against Zorgon.
I'll beat you, Zorgon.
Which daring hero will you be? The barbarian? The mightiest of warrior?
I am the mightiest of
You
warrior.
can match him in mortal combat.
Mortal Kombat.
The elf, a proud champion with fighting skills matched only by his magic. A wizard, a master of sorcery, his knowledge and use of magic unrivaled. A dwarf. That
Ooh,
would be
I'll
you.
be the dwarf.
I don't know. It does. It looks cool. I like it.
It sounds awesome.
All right, Jerry, you're up.
My number 7, we've already said it. Or you already said it. Sorry.
Oh,
I've played a lot of Sorry in my life. I've always loved it. It didn't cause that much issue between any of my siblings, but but I play it more now with my kids.
Yeah,
than
we play it
anything.
all the time. It's a great game for kids.
The boys love it. We play it all the time. I love Sorry too.
It's
I don't
it's
have a
one
problem
of
with
the
playing it.
only children's games that I can tolerate playing.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree.
Number 6 for me is Risk.
Risk.
Yes,
That's a classic.
I
A
still
little bit of war in that.
loved playing Risk as a kid. Nobody ever wanted to play it with me, but
It just involves.
it's
man.
very involved, and I play it still. I play it all the time with my my wife's uncle.
Close to your sister.
My wife's uncle and his
I've always screwed up my uncles or wives' uncles with my sister a lot too.
and his kids. We play it all the time. It's a fun game. But yeah, it is super involved and takes forever.
Yeah, it
And
does.
I remember the other day we were playing, this was a while ago, but
Just the other day though.
yeah, we had a couple hours. Like, let's play a game of Risk.
Nope.
Not even close. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's a lot of rolling, a lot of dice.
It is. A lot of dice rolls.
A lot of new rules that I know now that I didn't know at the time when I was a kid playing the game.
Like what?
I don't remember specifically, but there's other rules that you don't play with when you're a kid.
Does it go by the Geneva Convention?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's Napoleon.
Fucking Napoleon.
Treaty of Paris,
He's the
I don't know.
worst.
That episode for Seinfeld.
Yes, I always think of that. Yeah.
You're number 6, Gregory.
All right, so this is another game from my childhood. It's called the Uncanny X-Men Alert.
What?
Yeah, so this was
I've never
made
even heard of it.
So it's back in the day. Wolverine is in his old costume. It seriously came with a bunch of plastic figures, including Professor X, who had his own little
Wheelchair.
he had his
Hovercraft.
hovercraft little thing.
Hover chair.
But they all came in gray. So I don't remember the game so much as I remember that I painted every one of those fuckers.
Oh, you did. You painted
did.
the pieces.
I painted all the pieces because there was quite a few X-Men on there.
I remember the cover of this game.
Yeah, it's a great... I can't even say it's a great game. I just remember that game because I painted all of them. And then we had a garage sale and I decided, you know what, I don't play this game
The
no more.
pieces are sweet looking.
Yeah. And that
They're
game
like
is
very
super,
involved.
super expensive now if you were to try to find it.
Oh yeah, probably.
Really? Like, so it's not a production game anymore?
Oh,
like
I'm
you
sure.
can't-
It was
It's
made-
not that expensive. I mean, you can buy it for $29.99 plus $13 shipping. That's pretty expensive for a 1992 game.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun on that game, though.
Yeah.
So is it like just the X-Men fighting each other? Or like you're
No,
fighting the bad
you
guys?
would have there would be a card you would throw in the middle, and it would be shit. I mean, I don't even really remember.
Like Cyclops.
I mean, there's a Dracula in there. I know.
Dracula?
Yeah, it's old school.
I remember seeing the box of that game. I never had it or played it. 1992.
Yeah, Wolverine's in the old costume. I remember that.
Perfect. That's my favorite costume.
Yeah, that looks really cool. Boy, I didn't know about any of these cool type games when I was a kid. I just had Tornado Rex.
I remember Tornado Rex. That game was
Tornado
great.
Rex too.
Or Grape Escape.
I
That's
didn't
the
have it.
way you do it when you play the Grape Escape.
Can I tell you my number
Mash 'em,
6?
cut 'em, roll 'em into
Nope.
goo.
Oh my gosh.
Do you remember that commercial?
I don't. No.
It was a great game. The little grapes were your
They
players,
escaped.
and you made them out of Play-Doh, and the whole board was a contraption that they
Like-
go into a spot like Mousetrap,
Mousetrap?
but you'd crank a crank, and it would a scissors would close, and it would cut the grape in half.
I think I remember this.
Yeah, or it would smash your grape.
Yes.
It's a great game.
I do remember this.
Yeah, Grape Escape.
Okay, so my number 6 is Grape Escape. No, no. I do remember that though, the squishing and
Yeah.
chopping of your grape. But
I mean,
it's Play-Doh.
do they don't have cool games like that anymore. for
You don't
kids.
even see commercials like that anymore.
No. There was one that was a big bandsaw, and it had rubber bands, and it would saw your grape in
No
half.
way.
Yes, I'm looking at it right now.
That was
there
Grandpa's farm.
There was a masher, there's a boot stomper, there's a scissors.
I remember
and there's
the boot
And there's a
stomper
big bandsaw.
I always remember the boot stomper crushing your player, like on
I
the
don't remember this
commercial.
game at all.
I don't remember the song, but I remember getting smashed by a boot on the commercial. Anyway, my number 6 is Scrabble. I
Oh,
love Scrabble. It's a classic. I think
good
it should
game.
be on your top 10. It's like a very good, like intellectual game, I would say. Like you have to
Yes.
think.
Like you drink like a cup of tea while you play it.
You have to. You have to have tea.
Finger up.
A little
Like
bit of
we get our pipes out.
yeah. You smoke a good
Smoke
pipe.
a pipe.
You have a nice
A tobacco
cup
pipe,
of tea.
not a wacky tobacco pipe.
We would never.
No, I mean I
And-
would.
And then you Scrabble it up, and you challenge each other. It's like a challenge of minds. Like I am better at making words than
And
you.
someday I'll lose at it. Hasn't happened yet.
No?
Never.
Wow.
I have a great vocabulary.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay. We'll go with it.
All right, my number 5. Top 5 here. Here we're getting into the meat and potatoes right here. My number 5 is a game called Balderdash.
Nobody played that.
Yes.
Not a single person in the world played that.
Have you ever heard of this game? 'Cause
I've heard of
you
it,
would
I've never played it.
This is like Jerry Snyder, the game. This is a game that you would absolutely love.
I wouldn't buy it if it was called that.
This is
Yes,
probably
you
the
would.
funnest. This is probably the funnest like group party game that I've ever played. It's a great game for adults. Like if you have a game night, like with a group of adults that aren't like serious in the games, it's like a fun party game. And what it is basically it's similar to that drawful that I was telling you about before.
Yeah.
But instead of drawing something, you get a card with like a made up word. And you have to, everybody that's playing, usually you play with big groups. So like there's 10 people playing. Everybody writes a definition to that word. So all of those definitions go back to the main player.
Yeah.
And they say the word and they read off everybody's definitions. And then everybody votes on whose definition they think is the correct definition. It's basically the same as that drawful game.
Mm-hmm.
But it is wild with like people write crazy, hilarious things generally. And I don't know. It's fun. Super fun game. I highly, highly recommend it. It's definitely, it would be on the top of my list to play with a group of people.
Really?
Yeah.
It's the top of your list for a group of people. I don't believe you.
Yeah. It's like a party game. It's fun. Like everybody's laughing, having a great time. Cocktails. There's lots of drinking involved. It's great.
I just think you're an alcoholic.
I think we played this game overseas, but we couldn't drink,
Yeah. Maybe.
and it sucked.
Well, you don't have to drink to enjoy it. I love that game. I think it's a lot of fun. That's it. That's my
Okay.
number 5.
Craig's number 5.
All right, my number 5. I seriously do not remember this game as well as I should, but I remember that I played it with adults, so I like that part of it. Cranium.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love Cranium.
So-
I played it a lot with my brother. Go ahead.
I was going to say, every time I've played this game, I know there was drinking involved, so I don't remember it after the fact. I don't remember it while I was playing, but I remember I had fun doing it because I was playing with adults, and adults would play this game. So that was my big thing with it.
Yeah.
I just remember there was part of it that was like Pictionary, part of it was like trivia, part of it was like
an act out.
yeah, what do you call that? Charades.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically it was like that kind of a game. There was like 4 aspects to it.
I think there was a categories part where you would just go back and forth with the other guy on
Oh yeah. Yep.
movies, and then you'd have to just sit there and list movies.
Yeah. I do. There was a Play-Doh element to that game too. There was something involved with Play-Doh.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah.
there. I know there is.
Yes.
Sculpting.
You sculpt
right?
out. You sculpt
Yeah.
out whatever your card says.
I like that game.
but you can choose.
We had that game when I was a kid, but I don't feel like we played it that often. I'm not sure why, but yeah, I think because it's kind of a group game.
It is.
You need like a larger group of people to play
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
We never had a larger group of people, but yeah, that's a good one.
It's great and it's funny. It's
Yeah.
like super fun and
That's
funny. You can make it funny.
very similar to Balderdash.
It's not.
Party game, very funny.
Okay. What am I on? 5?
Number 5.
My number 5 is a little game called Settlers of Catan. Have you played this?
Yeah, Jerry, I've played Settlers of Catan.
Have you?
Yes.
It's got everything. It's like the original Civilization. It's like Sid Meier's Civilization as a board game. Would you agree?
I can't comment other to say that we're definitely going to be talking about this game later. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of the greatest. Like, you have to roll for production. You have resources. You can trade things. You've got, like, maritime trade. You're building up roads. You have to have bricks, lumber, like, everything that you need to build up your empire, basically, is all in this game. And that's why I said it's like Sid Meier's Civilization, because you're like creating your own civilization to beat out everyone else's. Yeah, and it's amazing.
It's like a cross between Monopoly and Risk.
And Civilization. Because you're creating your own thing. Like you have to have resources in order to do anything.
Yeah.
And
it's a resource management game.
Yeah, it's so fun.
It's
fun if you can understand it.
I couldn't put it on mine, but I've watched Will Wheaton play it on Tabletop Games.
Wheaton.
Yeah. They have a digital version that I've been wanting to get. I keep going back and forth because you have to pay for it, right? So I've been deciding what version to get. But everybody says the app version is really buggy and terrible.
Really?
The problem is it's not the kind of game. They say it works great if you have like somebody across the country that you want to play with.
Yeah.
But it's not the kind of game you can just start to play with strangers because it's so long that they'll just drop out in the middle of the game.
Yeah. I can understand.
Because it takes...
It's a long
5 hours. Go. I mean, it's an all-night affair.
It's a long go because you're like building up settlements and it's just very involved and awesome. If you can get into it, if you have the time to like put into this game, it's like a Thanksgiving worth game. It. It is. Yes, it is.
You're stuck here.
My number 4 is, of course, one of my favorite games of all time because it's in my top 4. Trivial Pursuit.
What a classic.
I absolutely love that game. I love trivia. I have my entire life. I've loved playing Trivial Pursuit since I was like a little kid.
Yeah.
And they have a million different versions. I still like the old original, like raggedy blue box, but I'll take any of them. Well, all versions are great. I probably have owned 20 different versions of this game.
There's one version that stands out above the rest.
What's that one?
You'll find out.
Okay. All right, so we won't talk too much more about it, but Trivial Pursuit I absolutely love because I love trivia because I'm smarter than everybody else, and I like to prove it to people.
He thinks it, and then he finds out otherwise.
I'm not the smartest guy in the room most of the time.
Well, because Craig's humble.
Well, it's because I'm always in the room.
Okay. It's a little thing called humble. Craig is humble.
All right, number 4, Craig.
All right, so I know if the dude was here, he would be saying... bullshit, but I like Monopoly. I've always liked Monopoly.
Why do you say that? Why do you think dude would say that?
Didn't you just have a big conversation with him on why nobody ever finishes that game? And
we could have. You remember a lot more about
honestly,
our podcast
I don't
than
think
we
that that's where that conversation went.
I still feel like I'm a fanboy and I pay attention to stupid stuff.
No, I don't think that that's where that conversation ended, though.
No?
I feel like we were very reminiscent of how much we love Monopoly.
I hope so.
I have played a lot of Monopoly in my day. I will say that most of the time I have not finished the game, but I do play generally with the rule of whenever someone lands on a piece, if they don't buy it, you auction it. And it makes it go so much damn quicker.
Okay, that is... Yes. Most of the time, if I've played it like on Xbox, they make you do that.
Because that's the right way to play it.
That is the right way to play it.
Better way to play it.
I grew up never knowing that was a rule. We never played it that way. Until I got older in like college and we played it a lot and we started doing it that way.
We played it that way, but a lot of times nobody bought them. Like nobody had money to auction it off. Because even above...
Somebody can buy them for $10 then.
No, I thought you had to start the auction off at what the price was.
Whatever, you got to sell it.
It's an auction.
Point. Oh, I thought
Somebody
started out...
has to end up with that property.
Oh, okay. I always thought it was like at the property price, and then you started from there and went up. Because I'm pretty sure that's
you
the way
start
you play
at
it.
any price, and then you pretty much just work your way up.
Well, you start up at the property price, but if nobody bids, it goes down.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it just went up from there, and if nobody did it, you just moved on.
No.
Wow, we were wrong.
You got to speed it along.
Okay. Monopoly. My turn, right?
Yeah.
What are we on?
We'll talk more about Monopoly later. 4.
Number 4, I have as a Trivial Pursuit as well, but it's specifically Star Wars Trivial Pursuit.
Never played it.
I have it at home.
Well, I would love to play that game.
And my brother and I, again,
Why don't we play it on air?
we could easily do that.
Yes.
I'd like to
It would
see
be
that.
very easy to do, and we could have Dude here.
I was
My
gonna say,
brother
kick-
wants to be on the
kick me out and
podcast
be on
too.
Dude.
He's deploying soon. He's going to Ukraine, so we need to have him on within the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
Are we going to war with Ukraine?
No,
Is he
just the
still
U.S.
in the military?
Yeah, he's in the Army Reserves.
Okay. And we're going to Ukraine? Why?
Yeah, we have a base in the Ukraine apparently, and
Is
that's
he
where
doing
he's going.
his 2 weeks?
No, he's going to be there till next April.
Why is he getting deployed to Ukraine? What are we doing over there that they need to
No idea.
deploy reserves?
Speak English.
I don't know. I don't know why. Why are you asking
Doesn't
me
make any
this? You
sense.
can ask him that. He's the one getting deployed, and he has to go there.
I don't know why we got to be deploying people all over.
They're just replacing people to be stationed at bases.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
That's basically what it is. He's training the Ukrainian army,
Oh, okay.
is what he's doing, to shoot the Mark 19. It's a grenade launcher.
Probably shouldn't be telling anybody that.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, so Star Wars Trivial Pursuit.
Your brother will destroy
It's-
us at that game. I guarantee.
Absolutely. He always has destroyed me at this game because he's
And
like
dude
an
isn't even
encyclopedia.
gonna. No, he's not even gonna compete.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I mean he dude knows some stuff, but dude knows dude stuff.
See, my brother's is an encyclopedia. Like he's studied the Star Wars encyclopedia and just knows random things that nobody else would think of, and but it's still fun to play with him because you just learn new
I
things.
learned a
and
lot
I've
the
played
other
it
day because
so
I went down
much.
a rabbit hole of Star Wars and I ended up looking at all the Corellian ships. So I know all the different classes of Corellian ships.
Oh,
now.
really? Yeah, it's super fun. I love Trivial Pursuit as well, but I just was attached to Star Wars Trivial Pursuit.
For
'cause
sure.
it's
If
so
I would have
fun.
had that, I
And
would've
the
played that
pieces that are in this game are incredible. I love them.
nonstop. All right, I'm into that.
I have got a little Yoda piece that I keep on.
So the
my
Trivial
room.
Pursuit I have is SNL. So it's got
There's
the
an SNL one.
yeah, there's an SNL one, but it's from I think they're 20 year, so it's old.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So you've got. Do they have pieces of characters?
Yes.
So
It's-
you've
I
got a
know it's got-
Roseanne,
it's-
Rosanna Dana.
I know it's got the samurai that
Yeah.
Duder played, and then it's got
Belushi.
Belushi played. Yeah.
uh,
What about the one, the guy with the hair? It was.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why.
Totally mental. I must say.
Martin.
Martin Short.
Martin Short. But
Yes.
what is the character?
I don't remember.
He's not on there.
No.
Ooh. That's what he does a lot.
Yeah, that was a great.
Like that guy.
I think it's got one of the cheerleaders from when Will Ferrell and the other
So
girl.
the other
Sherry
day,
O'Terry.
the other day I was bringing up a Will Ferrell skit to Marley because I got on the hoverboard. My kids got a hoverboard.
Yeah.
So I got on the hoverboard in the middle of our kitchen. Marley's like, I can't believe you can ride that. Anyway, so I'm riding this hoverboard around, and then in the middle of the kitchen, I just start spinning around in circles.
Yeah.
And I just start looking at her, and I'm like, it's the most wonderful time in the world. And I say the entire song.
Did you start
and
puking?
started speeding up, and then started fake puking. And at the end of it, this went on for 10 minutes. And at the end of it, she's like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, it's Will Ferrell from Saturday Night Live. She's like, Saturday Night what? That's my wife right there. She's like, oh, who? Who's Will Ferrell? Saturday night. What is a Saturday night?
Why is it live? Is it really live? Is Will Ferrell
It's true.
live?
That's how she is, and it drives me crazy.
I found out that's the only time my wife likes Will Ferrell is Saturday Night Live. She doesn't like him in movies.
My wife
Period.
hates Will Ferrell.
Really?
Yeah,
Gosh, I love him.
Me too.
I think
he's
he's
great.
a national treasure.
That's a good one though. My number 3 is also
Wait.
Monopoly.
Didn't Craig just go?
No,
Or was
you
it me?
went and he commented on yours.
Oh, so I
I
was
threw you
hijacked. Okay.
My number 3 is also Monopoly. Again, we've kind of discussed it, but I absolutely love Monopoly. I played it as a kid, of course, but I started to really get into it after I graduated high school. There were some friends of mine that right after we graduated immediately went out and got a half duplex that they rented, and 6 of them were living in a 1-bedroom half duplex.
Wait, why is it half a duplex? You can get a duplex. You can rent a duplex, one side of a duplex.
Yeah. A half of a duplex.
Nobody calls it half duplex. You just rented the duplex. You
I
live
call
in
it a
one.
half duplex. I own a half duplex, Jerry.
Oh my gosh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, I own this. I'm Chris. So I can call things what I want.
I can call them the correct name. Yes.
Like one part of a duplex.
Anyway, they lived in a duplex.
Wouldn't it just be one?
No.
Not if you don't
It's a
own the whole thing.
duplex.
Yeah, duplex means two, right?
Right. So it's half of a duplex.
Right. So you'd say like they own one house of a duplex.
oneplex?
Yeah, that's
No,
what you'd
a
call it.
oneplex would be a one thing.
One ply.
A duplex is two places, and half of a duplex
Nobody
is
says
called
that.
a half duplex.
I've never heard anybody say that. It's made up.
Anyway,
Monopoly.
they moved in there, and we used to have Monopoly parties at high school
I
all
love
the time.
I feel like Monopoly parties were a thing.
After high school. And then when I got in college, we played Monopoly constantly, and it involved usually a lot of drinking and usually a lot of board flipping.
Ugh, that's the worst.
And then I went to Germany to study abroad, which I've talked about.
A
And we
bajillion
bought a
times.
German version of Monopoly that we had to like completely make up all the cards because we had no idea what any of it was. And I ended up with that version of Monopoly. No idea where it is, but it came back to the United States. It is completely covered in wine stains.
Okay.
We drink a lot of wine because wine's really cheap.
In Germany?
Yeah.
Because they all drink beer.
I guess we drink a lot of that too. But anyway, been a huge fan of that game forever, and I still play it all the time, at least digitally now on Xbox.
Nice.
And actually, that's like a holiday game,
It is.
and it can
Big
also
time.
be a long game.
It can be very long.
Yeah,
Days.
I don't know about days, but
Well, we'll talk about it.
I've been in some 5-hour long Monopoly games before. Craig, number 3.
All right, so neither one of you guys have heard of this game because I was a Kickstarter.
The Cones of Dunmore.
Nope. So I've never done a Kickstarter, but one day while we were at lunch, I decided to look at my stuff,
Yeah.
and they brought up this game, and I was like, "Wow, this looks kind of neat." It's like everything that I wanted to be. It's called Dungeon Royale, and it looks like an 8-bit video game, but it's very
10 bitty.
it's kind of like the Hero Quest
Oh,
that I was telling you about before, but it was a Kickstarter, and then they brought it to Amazon. And honestly, I played it a couple times. I got the expansion pack, and I got to a point where I was hyping it so much that the owners, who were smaller people, they sent me something.
Like
and
they
said,
were little people.
they were
Yeah.
little people.
Like little people,
Big
world.
world.
They sent me something and said, "Hey, we need more people to hype this game so that we can put it on Amazon."
Oh, I see. So I got to get myself onto this world-renowned podcast.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is like, why wouldn't you try to hype it on a world renowned podcast
Yeah.
prior to this exact moment?
They caught me. But I played this game. There's a solo expansion pack that I've played. I have to say, a lot of times, most of these games I play by myself. So for this one is
Monopoly is tough to play by yourself.
Yeah. How do you play these board
Impossible.
games by yourself?
But I like this one so much because I can play it by myself.
Yeah,
without
that's
other
cool.
people.
I would do that. I'd play a game by myself.
So what's the premise of this game? Like you...
There's usually
It looks like a Legend of Zelda dungeon.
It looks like a drawdown or like a top-down Legend of Zelda, but it's 8-bit.
Yeah.
But it's like there's a purpose. You're trying to get artifacts, and you're trying to get a stone.
Okay.
And every round that keeps going on and keeps going on, you have monsters that are attacking you. If you go into certain rooms, you have to get so many artifacts before the keys come out. I haven't played it in a while, but yeah, I've had it for a while. And I've
These
played it a
games
few
sound
times.
incredible
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, they do. It looks really cool. It looks literally like an overview map of a Legend of Zelda castle. This is what it looks like. Looks pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, that's way better than my number 3.
What's your
Sound-
number 3?
My number 3, I talked about it earlier, is called Blockus before the podcast. It's super fun to play with multiple people. I play it with my kids. My kids do a really good job playing it. It's basically Tetris on a board, but you're connecting all of your pieces. It's not necessarily Tetris because you're not getting rid of anything, but you have pieces that look like Tetris pieces, and you have to connect all of them on the board. And by the end of the game, you're trying to get rid of as many pieces as you can before you get blocked out, because it's called Blockus. Each player is like, you can either try to block everyone from playing, or you can just try to play your own pieces to get it, get everything on the board. You can't put flat side of pieces together. It has to be corner to corner. So that's the only way you can play the pieces. That's what makes it harder. It's really fun. It's quick. It's relatively easy. My kids can play it, so it must be pretty easy to play when you're talking.
I mean, they're terrible at it.
5, 6, 8-year-olds. Yeah. I mean, Grady's pretty good. He's legitimately beat me multiple times. That's not saying much, but he has. And it's fun to play. It's quick, and it's a good game.
Sweet. That goes to my number 2. My number 2 is chess. Just regular old chess.
I don't know anybody that plays that unknown game. Okay.
I love chess, and I play it as much as I can.
Do you have one of the clicker clock things?
Yeah,
you got to slap the
to
clock?
I mean, it's on my phone, but yeah.
No, you have to have the physical clock that you slap the button
Well, I don't have one
to
of those.
stop the timer. Then you're not a real chess
No,
player.
I don't play timed chess. But chess was really, really big when I was in high school. We played a lot of chess in middle school and high school, really, constantly. It somehow got obscenely popular, and that's all we did was play chess and euchre in high school.
Yeah.
And it's still to this day probably the most fun strategic game you can play. I mean, that's why it's been around forever.
It's taken very seriously.
And I'm not very good at it.
No?
I mean, no, not really. Honestly, I've never been very good at it. There was a time when I really knew what I was doing. You kind of have to know. Everybody says
You do. There's a lot to that game. There's strategy.
But there's a lot of things outside of the strategy and obviously the ability to look 3, 4, 5 moves in the future. Mm-hmm. You actually have to know. There's a bunch of basic groundwork rules that when you know them, you can pretty much beat anybody that doesn't know those things. And at one time I knew all those things and I can't really remember. I used to know how you can do a 4-move checkmate and all that stuff.
Really?
Oh yeah. If you play with somebody that has no idea what you're doing, you can almost 4-move checkmate them every time.
No kidding. But your brain is just so fried now that you
I
can't.
pretty much remember how to do it, but I don't remember all the steps.
Pawn left.
No.
Rook
Up,
2.
up, down, down, left, right, left, right.
Pawn up 2. You take the bishop out to
Yep.
the corner. You take your queen out the other way.
Okay. And then you bishop 7, rook 9.
The crazy thing about chess is the
Right.
people that can play it 100% in their head. That blows my freaking mind with no board.
That's why I don't like chess, though.
That's why you're not a master.
There was this
way too much thought.
It was a podcast I was listening to or a documentary or something, and it was about this guy that was in prison, and he was super smart apparently, and he could completely play an entire game of chess in his own head against himself, against another person, doesn't matter.
Wow.
Just by, pawn to whatever 5,
Yeah.
just like that.
That's weird.
And he could keep 5 games going at a time in his mind.
What?
Yeah.
How did he get in
He
jail?
was a super
He
genius.
fucked up good.
Yeah, he did.
He got in jail because of probably racial bullshit. This was back in the day. He was a black guy, so I'm sure it was unjustified. But
So a chess grandmaster right now is Magnus something. I think he's from Denmark.
I don't
Can't
know.
remember, but
He still can't beat that computer.
I've watched him play. He did beat the computer.
He did?
Yes, this one guy.
I know Bobby Fischer did back in the day, but
No, I think he beat Watson. I think he played Watson. Continue on with the list, and
Anyway,
I'm going to look it up.
that is my number 2. Hard to beat chess. There's only one that beats it. Go ahead, number 2, Craig.
So my number 2, you said a long time ago, but I am going to a different version of it.
Okay.
Clue.
Regular old Clue.
Regular. I actually like the in-between one where they have question marks on the board.
Oh, I don't know that one.
So there's one where there's question marks on the board. If you land on those, because sometimes you just can't hit the rooms, there's a question mark, and then you can pull a card. That card, you have no idea what it says. It just adds another element to the game, and it makes it, for me, that much funner.
Yeah.
I don't think in all the time I've been alive I've ever won a game of Clue. Because I seem to play people that are psychically linked, and they just know what the other person's got.
Yeah. There's a lot of you gotta take a lot of risk if you want to be winning at Clue.
Yeah.
Like you gotta be able to pick accurate, pick without having all the information.
Well, I know, like when you were getting ready to call out what you think everything is, you get them all. You have to be in the room that you're accusing them of. I've done that before, where I've had everybody going into one room because they thought that was the room, and they still beat me. It was I purposely put them on the wrong room, and I've never won a game of Clue.
So okay, Clue. There's two different games. There's Clue that you play with your kids, who don't really understand how to really play Clue, and there's Clue that you play with older kids or adults, where you can go down the whole rabbit hole of lying and completely trying to fake people out. So, I get that from that aspect. I try and play with my kids now, and it's they can't grasp it, but they're not there yet. Someday they will be there. But
my wife's side of the family, my wife's Hispanic. Her family's huge. So anytime there's something involved with, gaming,
board games, yeah, they're in.
They're in.
Yeah.
And that's a game I play, but I'm playing with all them, and like I said, they're psychically linked. So I might be giving a clue to one person, but the other person's picking up on them, and they're Xing it out just as much as the other person is.
Yeah. No, that's a great game. That is, I didn't put Clue on my list, but I had Clue Museum Capers, so I guess it kind of counts.
My number 2 is another very simple game, but it's very fun to play. We do play it a lot during the holidays with my wife's family, and it is Sequence. Okay. Sequence is a nice board game with cards.
I don't think I've ever played it.
So there are cards laid out. I mean, the board is card faces, and they are in a certain sequence. You get chips, and then you get a deck of 7 cards in your hand, I think, and you and a partner are trying to put your pieces out on the board and trying to get 4 in a row. And there's wild cards, 2-eyed jacks. You can add a piece anywhere you want. 1-eyed jacks, you can take someone else's pieces off of the board. But you're on a team trying to beat the other team. It's just really fun to play. They always played it at Christmas time. My wife's family did. So we've always started playing it at Christmas time, and it's just a fun game to play.
Nice.
I love it.
Never played it. My number 1, the best game ever made. There is no argument here. Whatever you guys are going to say is wrong. Is Settlers of Catan. This game is the best board game I have ever played. I absolutely love it. I can't get enough of it. I want to play it all the time.
Really?
But
you want to play it right now?
Yes, I want to play it all the time. But there's only a couple people really I can ever play it with.
Why?
Because nobody ever wants to play it.
And you know what else?
Why?
You don't have friends.
Yeah, that's right. You got to have friends that actually want to play a board game, really sit down and really play a board game and not fuck around.
Yeah, you're right.
And I really enjoy it because it is, and I actually have multiple versions. I have the Seafarers edition, which changes the complete board and makes it little islands all over.
Sure.
And there's a whole different aspect of
pirates involved?
Shipping routes. So you can connect different islands by shipping routes.
Does that make the game longer then?
It doesn't necessarily make it longer. It makes it very different though, because some islands might have all of only one resource, and other islands might have all of a different resource, or be very strong in these different resources.
Is there a Somali pirate that gets on your ship and says, "I'm the captain now"?
No.
Darn it.
But you have to use more resources to build a shipping route than you do to build a road in regular Settlers of Catan. So it's definitely really fun. I still like the original version. I also have the expanded edition where you can play more than 4 players, and it makes a bigger board. But yeah, I've definitely tied into some 8-hour games of Settlers of Catan.
Really?
And I love playing it. I love playing it with new people that have never played it before. I hate playing it with people that just do not want to play a board game, or like halfway through they start whining.
It's
and
the
bitching
worst
about
game
it.
in the world for somebody that doesn't want to play a board game to get involved with.
Yes.
Because this is a game you need to be
You need to
involved
play
with.
it with competitive people
Yeah.
that are fun.
That want to cut your throat.
And the best aspect of the game is bartering. I mean, that's what the
Yeah.
game's all about, is offering people ridiculous barters and ridiculous trades that they should never take.
Right, in
but
order to
they're
bury them.
Because they're
need 'em.
going to take it because they need that freaking wool.
Yeah.
They need that wool. And then there's like the other cool thing about the game
Oh, you
is,
want some bricks? Oh, I got bricks.
yeah. The other cool thing about the game is it's never the same twice. The board
Right.
is completely different every time. And also, there's all the different ways to play it. So you can play
It's
it.
however you want to position yourself.
Yeah, you can play it by legitimately trying to get the most cards, or you can play the game of trying to get the specific cards you need to get, because I think you gotta have 10 points to win, right?
Yes, 10.
So you can play the game of like, all I'm gonna do is try and get the resources I need to get those wild card things that can lead to extra points. And that's how some people, their whole strategy of the game is just to do that. While the next guy, his only strategy of the game is to get longest road and biggest army and whatever he needs to get.
Yeah.
So I just like that there's no straightforward way to play the game, and it's different every time you play it.
Yes.
That's why it's my favorite game.
I agree with you. That's why it was in my top 5.
Yeah. Craig?
Craig,
Not mine.
number 1.
That
This
was a
is
game
big
that
deal.
I've always wanted to play, but
You've never played it?
I've never played it.
Oh, you'll be addicted. If you like board games, it's really good.
Yeah, see, I mean, just watching all that the tabletop games, it's just one of those games I've always wanted to play, but I just don't have those kind of friends.
Yeah.
You need them.
You do.
And I don't play it like, I have family member, like my niece and her husband and my nephew are really into it. And so that's what we do. Like at holidays, we play that game.
Your niece and your husband
My niece and her husband.
and your husband are into it. All right, cool.
All right, my number 1, it's a game called Castle Panic. This game
Castle
is
Panic. Is this
it is,
like
it is-
Luigi's Castle?
no. So the nice
Luigi's-
thing about this game is the way you play it. It doesn't even matter whichever version you play it of. You have to play cooperative. And
Oh.
you have a castle in the middle, and your whole point is to save yourself from these orcs that just keep attacking every round.
I love an orc.
yeah.
I love a good orc.
So I mean, you pull these pieces one by one, and I mean, constantly you're just getting bombarded by these things. You've got cards, and that you got to figure out. You have to strategize with the other people you're playing. There's different versions of it where you pretty much get to decide if you want to play by who kills the most people. There's different ways to play it. Plus, there's expansions to it. And the game, for me, I played it by myself quite a few times, but I've actually gotten people to play it, and every person I've played with it has been very into it. Mm-hmm. So that
It sounds
I'm
awesome.
looking at the board. It looks really cool.
yeah, and that's another. And I feel like this is one of those games. It's another tabletop game by Will Wheaton.
Nice.
So I'm always for those games.
I love that his show. I watch it all the time on YouTube.
I've never seen it.
He's such a cool. He just seems like a cool.
And
dude.
I've got a huge thing for Felicia Day, who's been on the show quite a few times.
Yeah, Felicia Day is like, I used to be obsessed with all of her stuff. So the
Wow.
Guild, I used to watch the Guild like crazy. I follow Geek and Sundry. I watch all their stuff. I'm a big Dr. Horrible sing along blog. She's in that. I'm a big fan of Felicia Day as well.
This looks awesome.
Yeah, it does look. It looks really cool.
I've
Something
got
I'd
it.
be into. You have it?
I have it, but then there's a bunch of expansions for that one too.
Nice. My number 1, we've already talked about. It's going to be my number 1 because I always go with the nostalgic pick, and that's Monopoly. I played Monopoly growing up as a child every single Christmas and Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's the game we always played. It caused talk about like arguments and fights. My dad was such a bully when it came to playing Monopoly. He was the worst like human being when it came to Monopoly.
So was my dad. I think all
he was
dads
like,
are like that.
cutthroat. I don't care anything about you as a person. I'm going to take all of your stuff as much as I can. I'm going to rip you off. Like when it came to bidding on like auctioning off things, he'd literally like break himself getting stuff, and he'd end up winning and I don't know how.
Because there's the
You were
only
scared.
Him and
the
my mom,
only thing you have to do to win Monopoly is buy
everything. And that's what he would do.
Like never
And
don't buy something.
And him and my mom would get into huge arguments across the table at each other because my dad just didn't care about anybody's stuff. And my mom thought you should have a little bit of compassion for each other. And he's like, no, I don't care if you win or not. I don't care if my 5-year-old son or 6-year-old son wins. He's going to get buried. I'm winning the game. And he did. He won every single time. Nobody
I played
enjoyed
poker
it.
with your dad, and
That's how he is.
he's exactly how he is. He just must be the most ultra competitive person in the world.
He is. He just doesn't. He has to win. And he's not going to let anybody stop him from winning, regardless of what that is. And so all of my Christmases and Thanksgivings are wrapped around everyone screaming at each other.
Devolved into horrible fighting.
Yes. People crying, my sister going to her room, my mom being mad around Monopoly. And that's why I love it. I do. I absolutely love it.
No,
I love that game, and you can play that game any way you want to. You could play it in different ways. Like you don't necessarily have to buy everything in order to win the game, depending on the people you're playing with. It all depends on how like the strategy the other people are using. You have to go off of that in order to win the game, and I think there's a lot of different ways you can win it, but it's just fun. I love it. It's like the super classic game. Especially for an American Monopoly.
Definitely.
We take everything over.
I have like 3 different versions of Monopoly.
I do too. I have
Oh,
a
my
Star Wars
gosh.
Monopoly.
I can't imagine how many versions of that game I've bought. I've bought it like 100 times
Yep.
because it always gets destroyed. Or,
Yeah, exactly. I've got regular Monopoly, NASCAR Monopoly from like 95, a Star Wars Monopoly. I think I have a Batman Monopoly, but I don't know for sure. I've got like 4 different Monopolies at home, and they're all in the basement, and I need to pull them out.
Yeah.
I need to
Monopoly, fantastic.
whip it out.
I can't argue with you. I just like Settlers of Catan more because
No, I agree.
every
It's a better
time you
game.
play it, it's different. That's what I like about
I
it.
agree with you that Settlers is a better game because of like how in depth it can be and what
Yeah.
you have to do. I always go with the nostalgic pick. Every top 10 we ever do.
Well,
I go with the nostalgic
there's
pick.
similar
and
threads
that's
to
nostalgic
Monopoly, both
for me.
Monopoly and Settlers. A lot of the action of the game doesn't take place inside the game.
No,
It takes place in the bartering process.
yes, it's between the players.
So that's what makes it interesting. Whereas certain other games, it's all in front of you. And there might be strategy.
Sure.
But you don't have to count on that whole element of like
It's all
human
in the,
interaction. You know?
It's all in the swindling.
Yeah.
I'm going to swindle you out of that.
So
Hotel.
this whole time that that Craig's been listing his games, which are very like Dungeons and Dragon-y based,
Yeah.
I kept remembering this game that I had as a kid, but I couldn't remember the name of it or anything about it really. And I've just been searching, like searching Castle Game 90s, Castle Game 80s, and I found this game that I remember. I'm curious if either of you remember this game. It's called Weapons and Warriors.
No.
Nope.
And it was a game with like these cardboard cutouts, and there's trees, and there's pieces of castle, like plastic pieces of castle, and you had catapults and cannons, and you shot little marbles.
No, I don't remember this, but it sounds great.
It's phenomenal.
It sounds so great.
And it just got me thinking of all these other games, which aren't necessarily board games. That's not really a board game necessarily.
I mean, kind of if you're on a board.
Yeah, it's more like a little setup, but
I mean, I
wanted to
started
put
this all.
Crossfire on mine, but that doesn't count.
yeah,
Crossfire.
Crossfire is another one I was just going to bring up. There's all these games like that.
Yeah.
Tornado Rex I mentioned earlier, Grape Escape obviously. But there was a game we played constantly as kids, and it's not a board game, so I guess I don't think it is. It was called Nightmare. and it was actually a VHS tape that you put in, and there was like guided.
Nightmare.
It was the Nightmare guy or some guy in a hooded. It was super freaky
This is weird.
as kids, and he like walked you through the games, and you had to pause it at different times and do different things and play it. That game we played all the time.
I don't even remember that.
And then
This
there
sounds
never
like
even
something
heard
my
of it.
brother would do to me just for fun.
Yeah, just to
Oh,
torture you.
Yeah, it's a video board game, Nightmare. Atmosphere was the name of the company that made it. They made a bunch of them. They made like 5 of them. We had all of them.
Wow.
And
I don't even know. I never even heard of this.
they were super freaky. Yeah. Anyway, that was another one. I'm thinking of other games now that I played as a kid that I not necessarily qualify as kids games, but we played that at Lowry's house all the time. They're the ones that had Nightmare.
Really?
Yeah.
Not like my wife, Lowry.
No, not that Lowry. Cousin Lowry. Anyway, a lot of good games out there. This ended up to be a pretty good list. I liked it.
Yeah, it was
Good
fun
topic.
because yours was way different than I thought. I thought you were going to have like the nostalgic type picks that I had and Chris had too, but you were way different than I expected.
Yeah.
But you gave me like a 45-minute like window
I had 5 minutes
and
or
a
less,
30-minute
so-
drive.
We made them in front of you, so
Yeah. Better off than I am.
no, that was great because it was so different than what I expected it to be. I think it was good.
Where are we at time wise? Because
2 hours and 20 minutes.
so that's it.
So we're at the end. Cool. We're at the end of our podcast. here.
Yeah. I mean, I had some what I've been watching, but I can talk about it next week.
Yeah. I finally finished Dave.
Nice.
What took you so long?
Well, it was the one episode I had left. I just didn't get around to it.
Well,
What an incredible show.
we'll talk about that next week too. Craig's guest, he's in here. I feel like we need to give him the opportunity to at least do one what you're watching.
Yeah.
Something you've been watching, or is there
Just
anything
one thing.
that you want to talk about?
Well, okay, I've been way behind. I'm at a point now where I'm just like, whatever I feel like, I'm just gonna put it on because I don't have time. So I decided while we were in that flood to go through Clone Wars. I'm watching them in order though.
Nice.
So I finished.
It's worth it.
I finished the first season. I'm almost done with the second season.
Now, are you a big Star Wars fan?
I am.
Okay. Me
So-
too. And that's most of my reading novels has been Star Wars because I'm a huge Star Wars book fan. Some of the best books ever are Star Wars books, but beside the point.
And then besides that, I for some reason decided I usually go to sleep to comedies, and I decided to watch Cheers.
Okay.
So I started
Oh,
from
man, I haven't
I
watched
started
that in
from
a long
season 1, but the problem is every time that I put it on to go to sleep, I don't go to sleep. I just keep watching the episode. I forgot Woody Harrelson is not in the first season,
No.
so that it's been throwing me off. But I'm
Coach.
yeah, I've been really into
Oh,
it.
I didn't even remember this.
Yeah, it's been, I don't know. I remember watching the show as a kid thinking, like, once that show ended, this is when I go to sleep.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I would watch the show because I didn't want to go to sleep.
And everybody
now-
watched the show. I mean, it was
everybody did.
huge.
Yeah, and when Coach came on, it was the same thing. Once I heard that ending music, I was done. But I'm watching Cheers from a different perspective, and I'm getting into it.
In an earlier in our much earlier podcast, we used to end every episode with a different
TV theme song.
Yeah, TV
It was on
theme
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
we
had
did Coach.
Coach.
Yeah.
We had Cheers too.
But I was talking about Coach was a character in the first season of Cheers, right?
Yes,
the
he
older
was.
bartender?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that same coach, different
I
coach.
think that guy died is why they got there.
Yeah.
He just stopped doing it.
Yeah, I think he did die. Something like
Mob hit.
that. Yeah, but the Clone Wars is totally worth rewatching, and I had rewatched it lately. So that was going to be what I've been watching because after the Clone Wars, I just spun off into like a whole new Star Wars tangent again. I just go through them
I know.
in my life where I just get like super into it. And that's like the only thing I've been watching. I've rewatched every single Star Wars movie over the last like 2
Yeah,
weeks.
you were texting me hard
Yes.
this last weekend about the Phantom Menace.
And right now I'm currently rewatching all of Rebels. And I want to talk about all of it so much, but we don't have time.
Next episode, I've got a couple shows that are brand new that I've never watched before that I just started. They're relatively new shows that we'll talk about that are intriguing.
Yeah.
They're Amazon shows.
Okay.
Amazon Prime shows. There's 2 of them that I brought one up a little while ago, and I didn't really.
Have you
watch
watched
any more of
Upload
it.
yet?
No, I haven't.
That's an Amazon show, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I need to get into that. There's 2 other. They're serious shows, so we'll get into it next episode.
All right, guys. For Snarf Talk this week, I've been Chris.
I'm G.
KERG BLAZE! Matt David.
I'm Jerry.
See ya.